equally a super bit of fielding on the drive there at extra cover. Keeps it down to a single. 62 for 3. Zabe up to 8. And that's the end of the over. First one for Andrew Gorvin in Glamorgan colours. 7 runs coming off it. 62 for 3 off 11 with Zabe on 8. Curran on 29. Callum Taylor, who pulled off that super bit of fielding off the last ball of the over, is still down.
It's never very nice diving on that square, especially this time of year when there's a lot of wicket ends. We've seen a lot of really good fielding today, actually, from people in really tough positions. Being on those wicket ends is horrendous. You do everything you can as a fielder to avoid them, or to ask the captain if you can move.
And the really good news for Phil Rowe is that Lucas Carey's back on the field.
I spotted it. I don't look for these things, but I can't help but notice them. I do look for these things, actually. I get niggly about it. So there's going to be a change. Despite Lucas Carey coming back onto the field, he's been replaced at the far end. I think this is Stephen Reingold, because he has no name on the back. I was right. Well done. So Stephen Reingold from the far end. It's the first time I've seen him bowl. I think he bowls a few off spinners, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am. We'll find out. Got a pretty orthodox field set. There's a man out on deep cover, a long off, deep mid wicket.
Be a good test for Safe this as well, because Safe is someone who likes to be positive, he likes to be creative, and he wants to score boundaries, but he doesn't need to here. He just needs to tick the ball around, sort of 4, 5 and over. And basically, it's about taking no risks.
Absolutely right. So yeah, that's an off spinner. It's a very full ball. It's clothed into the leg side. I think he's got enough of it. Maybe it wasn't clothed. It was between a cloth and a middle.
That'll help him though. That'll help him. Let's be honest. He's got a bit of a freebie there.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of a nervous delivery. Full toss, and Safe's tried to club it over mid wicket. Just got enough on it, and it dropped over. Sort of. Well, I say it dropped over. It was a long way away from him, and he got the boundary over mid wicket.
Yeah, it was more of a beach towel than a cloth, wasn't it? But he's 4 off the first ball, so Ryan got under a little bit of pressure. Second ball is a much better delivery. Pushed firmly down the wicket, fields off his own bowling, no run.
Good fielding, that. Again, not easiest because both wickets either side of this wicket have been used. So fielding off your own bowling, as we saw earlier, isn't that easy.
It's not pleasant. And he comes again. This one quite straight again, very full. Safe pushing it firmly, avoids the diving fielder at extra cover out to long off for a single.
Yeah, is that Carlson there, extra cover. That's the horrible position when you've got to try and get close and you're standing right on the wicket end. And anything that's on the half volley lands in those footholes, and it can bounce up into hit you in the face or hit you on the wrist, and you go off at the end of the innings with bruises everywhere.
Black and blue, yeah. And he looked like you've misfielded quite a few, and actually you've done a very good job. In comes Reingold again. That one's a little bit slower, and did him in the air a wee bit. Safe didn't continue to. He misjudged it initially and held his shape and pushed it into the offside. No run. Well bowled. Just mixing his pace up slightly. And this next one is full again. Safe pushes that up to long off. Sorry, Ben Curran pushes that up to long off. There's 1 run. Puts Ben Curran on to 30. The score on to 68 for 3.
Safe will pull you up on that later because he will watch every ball back and he will listen to it.
Yeah, he will. I'm looking forward to that already. Last ball of his first over from Reingold. It's been a decent over after a poor start. Short ball, but cut away to the deep point boundary. And there's only the 1 run. So, yeah, not a bad first over. He'll be happy to get that behind him. Safe moves on to 14. Ben Curran is on 30. The score after 12 overs is 69 for 3.
Yeah, it looks like there's quite a bit to work with there. It was a good over after the first ball. Looks like he puts a few revs on it and mixed his pace up well there. I always like to see that. It's sign of someone that's quite confident when they're prepared to do that. So nice start for him.
Those of you who are at home on the live stream, then I'm pleased to say that the score overlay is back on. So apologies for any inconvenience caused earlier, which circumstances beyond our control, as they say, but it is now up and running fine, so you should be able to see the pictures, hear the commentary, and see the score as well. The Holy Trinity. Here's Gorvin round the wicket, starting his second over. Bowls again, full-length ball driven up to extra cover by Safe Zabe for a single, and that's 15 to him. Northamptonshire up to 70 for 3. Still not a great deal of sunshine in evidence, in fact none. It's still a little bit gloomy overhead, but as I say, there's some fairly vile weather a little bit further south, but hopefully it'll stay there. Here's Gorvin round the wicket again, bowls to Curran in behind that, plays it back down the pitch. Gorvin himself fields. I'm trying to think who he reminds me of, Andrew Gorvin bowling. He's that sort of very busy, bustling
I'll tell you
run
who I
up.
was thinking of, but very different shapes. I was thinking of Lee Daggett.
Yes, yeah, that's not a bad shout.
From Northamptonshire. Banks was a little bit chunkier than him, though.
There's another one it reminds me of. It'll come to me in a second. That's driven a little bit of width to Ben Curran, who's able to drive it away through backward point for a single. Well fielded by man running round the third man boundary. It's Lucas Carey down there. Come through for a single, 71 for 3. Curran 31. Come on then.
I'm going to throw in Benny Howell.
Yes, that's good. That's good. I was thinking of the one I was thinking of. It was Ian Austin.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Bully.
yeah.
It was, blend those three, and you'll get an idea. That ball driven back by
The bowling
Save.
action reminds me of Ryan Tender-Scarter.
Yes.
If you've actually seen,
Yeah.
I know you probably haven't seen too much of him bowl as of late.
Yes. That's very true. Who was a man you always wanted to get out early
Oh, yeah.
because he was a tender starter.
Dear oh law. Here's Gorwin in again. Bowls to Zabe, who's just reaching for that one a little bit. Drives it without any timing up to extra cover, and there's no run. 71 for 3.
That's courtesy of David Wigley, who ran on with drinks at the fall of a wicket against Essex and delivered that line to the Northamptonshire captain. Picked the drinks up and ran off, I think.
Very wise.
Well done, Wiggs.
Here's Gorvin in again. Bowls to Zabe, who on drives pleasantly up to Michael Hogan, coming in off the boundary at long on for the single to end the over. 16 to Zabe. Curran is 31. 13 overs gone. Northampton just 72 for 3. Chasing 296 to win.
Yeah, nice over. Nice, lots of mix-up by an off spinner there is his change-up delivery, and just try to target the stumps. I think anyone that comes on with the keeper up, that's what they've got to do. They've got to make the batsman take a risk to score the boundaries. Don't give them any width. And that was a lovely over.
It's going to be interesting to see these two guys, Curran and Zabe. They're not experienced, but they have played a reasonable amount of cricket now at this level, and how they go about rebuilding and regrouping now. So it's the lowest risk that they can get away with, trying to knock it around at 5 and over, climbing into any 4 balls that are offered up, but not taking any risk. As his first ball is bowled again, yeah, he gets nicely over the top of the ball, Ryan Gold. That ball pitched on middle and leg, pushed back to him. He sort of tumbles and fields it off his own bowling, but he does get over the top of the ball, so there's a bit of drop. He can do you in the air if you sort of take your eye off it, and there's a little bit of turn on offer as well. This next one is held back slightly. Safe just keeps his shape, punches it this time up to long on, and they rotate through for the single. So he almost looks like an old-fashioned sort of red ball off spinner. He's not looking to really dart it in. He's looking to give it a little bit of air.
Yeah, it's sort of classical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very correct. But he gets in a great position also. This is a bit of a badger comment, but afterwards his follow through, he's in a great position for then. I reckon he's going to be very, very good off his own bowling.
Yeah, I think you're right. And this ball is again sort of a repeat prescription. Really, it's pushed into the offside by Ben Curran. Just opened the face of the bat to miss the fielder at extra cover, so he gets it out to the cover boundary and gets his single. Yeah, I think he's going to do a lot of work of his own bowling, isn't he? And he looks like a good fielder off his own bowling as well. Early days.
Well, white ball spinner, you're an extra fielder, aren't you? You're trying to cut off that single to mid off and mid on, really.
Safe sweeps at this next ball and misses it. Gets it on the arm, and it just runs into the offside. No run. But the sweep is a value for money shot here. There's a man on the 45. He's now gone back to the boundary. So immediately they saw a willingness to sweep. They put the man back. So and up comes long on and into the ring to make up the requisite number of fielders in the ring.
Yeah, good captaincy that, I think. I think Safe will still be tempted to come down the wicket and go straight. Certainly a shot that he'll be looking at.
This next one's dragged down a wee bit. Safe stays on the back foot this time, cuts it hard into the offside, but they can only get one. It goes pretty much directly to the cover fielders, who is Gorvin. But yeah, I think 5 and over, Al, is what I'd be thinking if I was whoever's the lead player in this partnership. They'll both believe they are, but let's say equal shares. They'll be talking about let's go at 5, no risk. Oh, stay with me, back with me. This last ball of the over is very full. It's a slower ball. It was over length, and Ben Curran with a very straight upright stance plays a very strange shot with a straight bat, but gets it somehow down to backward square leg just for the single. Moves on to 30.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's about right. If you target 5 and over, if you end up getting more, fantastic. If you don't get quite that many, it's fine because you've got a lot of time. My only worry is that what they're talking about out there. Knowing these two, they might be saying, let's get 15 and over with no risks. And that's what I hope they're not doing. No, in all seriousness, they, if you'd have asked me a few years ago with Safe, Safe's cricket has come on leaps and bounds in the last few years. You go back 3 or 4 years, all he wanted to do was hit boundaries. All he wanted to do was score runs and play every single shot in the book. Whereas this year, it's almost like the penny's dropped. He's kind of worked it out, and he's taken the right options. I don't want to touch wood at the moment. He's doing the same thing here, and these two have started well. It's a long rebuilding process for them, but this is the partnership that can get Northamptonshire really back into the game.
Andrew Gorvin about to start his third over, 2 overs for 10 so far, bowling round the wicket to Ben Curran, who's playing that away through mid-wicket for 1. That's all they'll be, as it's chased back there by Steve Reingold, keeps it to 1. Curran up to 34 and Northamptonshire to 77 for 3. And yeah, it is vital, I think, that these two, from Northamptonshire's point of view, take it on for a few more overs yet. Here's Gorvin again round the wicket, bowls and Zabe. Very curious strike. I thought he was trying to pull that away through mid-wicket. He finished up hitting the stumps at the bowler's end. So what was he, threw the shot a bit early, I think.
I think it skidded a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
He was
I
looking
just
at it.
worry slightly because it's that intent. He looks like he's trying to do something here. He doesn't need to. He can
looking-
easily
yeah.
just go at 5 and 6 and over without taking any risks. He can just keep punching the ball down the ground like he's doing. That's all he needs to do.
I was looking away through mid-wicket for that one, and it's safe. Finished up, shattering the stumps at the non-striker's end. Zabe on 18, facing this ball from Gorvin. It's a slightly slower ball, I think, driven up to mid-off, when it's fielded at the double, as he does everything at the double by Kieran Carlson.
I think
there's no run.
Al's right. There's over intent. There's overplaying a little bit from Safe, starting to creep in. But if the blueprint was set really from the way that Glamorgan managed their innings throughout the 50 overs, we need to try and get as close to that as possible.
Here's Gorvin again, and that's punched down the ground by Zabe. Nice stroke, goes up to Michael Hogan, fielding down below us at long on to the left-hander, and they come through for a single. 19 to Zabe, 78 for 3. Curry still doing brisk trade down to our right. Smells very nice.
Yeah, I've heard a nasty rumour that it might not be going on for too much longer either.
It's all right.
Yeah, which is not what we want to hear.
Gorvin round the wicket again, bowls to Curran, drops that down, come through a very quick single out to mid-wicket. Fortunately, from point of view of safe save, Stephen Reingold overran the ball, didn't pick it up. If he had have picked it up and got the throw in, he might have been struggling. As it was, it's a single to Curran, 35 to him, 79 for 3. The cooking smells, well, we've had our lunch, just wafting up here. They smell very nice. Gorvin again, bowls to Zabe. He's again looking to drive. And he just goes up to Callum Taylor as another real live wire in the field. Short extra. End of another tidy over from Andrew Gorvin. 79 for 3 off 15 with Safe Zabe on 19. Curran on 35. 24 runs coming off the last 5 overs. So Northamptonshire would settle for that. They're still well ahead of where Glamorgan were at this stage. But again, you have to factor in that terrific finish to the Glamorgan innings that saw them smash 66 off the last 5.
Yeah, and wickets as well, I think. The wickets is important, the 3 wickets that are down. I really like this this guy, Reingold, and the way he's trying to bowl. He's given a bit of air. He's sort of saying, come at me a little bit. Let's see what you've got. And Ben Curran just sits on the back foot for this first ball of his 3rd over, chops it out to deep cover just for the single. Sorry, it's his 4th over. The man with no name on his shirt. Yeah, he's over the top of the ball, so there's overspin. There's a little bit of barrel spin, side spin as well. And I would imagine he's a man who gets quite a few stumpings, people running past it. This next ball to Safe Zabe is full. A little bit of width on offer, and Safe with those very, very stylish wrists he's got. Just waits for the ball to come into his area, cracks his wrist through it late, gets it square of the wicket for a single.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think on a wicket that's turning as well, it could be a handful.
Yeah.
It looks like he might get a bit of bounce with the fact that he comes so far over the top.
Mm-hmm. So a good start from Reingold on debut. This next one to Ben Curran is very full. He pushes it up to long on. A very good attempt at mid-wicket from, I think it was Callum Taylor, full-length dive trying to prevent the single, but it got through, and he's now regretting that dive on this very hard outfield.
Silly boy. They're the ones, just let them go. Save your arms. That just comes with experience though, doesn't it? or at least you've got to dive in a way where you know you're going to miss it, but you just dive so that you don't graze your arms, just so everyone else thinks you've just put a good effort in, but you're not really going for it.
It's certainly a technique. This next one, safe save, advancing down the wicket. The bowler saw him coming, fired it in, and it looked like something was going to happen there. And again, it's a bit of a twitch, I might call it that way, from safe save. He's just playing outside of what he needs to do very slightly, and it's a slight concern. He does like to attack, but just needs to consolidate. He gets a chance to consolidate that, but it's fired in. That was the first ball, really, that he's really fired in to the base of leg stump. Yeah.
Sorry, talking without my microphone there. That wasn't very helpful for anyone. But a drift there, maybe.
The last ball of the over is very much a slower ball. It's held back. Almost did safe save in the air. He just rocked onto the back foot. Still tried to cut it. There's two men behind, square on the offside. It just bounced just short of one of those men. There's no run. So another tidy over from Stephen Reingold. And that doesn't help. When we try and overplay a wee bit, the next couple of balls go for dots. You take a bit of a risk, and then one falls short of a fielder. The pressure is starting to build a little bit, and it's not really there, but it's being sort of almost encouraged by overplaying.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, it can be one of the toughest times to bat when you're getting a little bit of a partnership together. You don't feel like you're really flowing too far. You want to start getting some boundaries. It's that. This is for me can be one of the most dangerous stages. We just need them to carry on doing exactly what they're doing for a little bit longer. But when you're out there in the middle, you want to start feeling bat and ball and get those boundaries.
Gorvin, 3 overs for 13 so far, starting his 4th over, and that's driven away through extra cover by Ben Curran, and it beats the diving Callum Taylor and runs away for 4. 37 to Curran, 82 for 3, and Callum Taylor's in a bit of trouble there again, and it's the discussion we've been having at various stages of the day. Those wicket ends, it's very, very rough, very abrasive, and Taylor's gone down again for I think the 2nd or 3rd time. He's just wringing his right hand.
Yeah, he's been in the wars a bit.
He has, isn't he? It was a nicely timed shot though by Ben Curran. Here's Gorvin in again. This time Curran drives straight back down the pitch. Gorvin sticks down his right hand to field, and there's no run. Kieran Carlson in there at mid-off, just having a chat with his bowler. Obviously a newcomer to the Glamorgan side, making his first 11 debut today. So plenty of chat, confidence building from the captain, which is good to see. Here's Gorvin in again, forces Curran onto the defensive, playing it up to Callum Taylor once again at extra cover, and there's no run. Sky just getting a little bit darker over to our right, which is where I think the weather's coming from today, having just had a quick look at the radar. But as I say, there's some fairly unpleasant weather down sort of Stansted Airport way, but there's a little way from here, thankfully. Here's Gorvin in again, just straying onto Curran's legs, and he's able to work that round for a single out to Nick Selman, who's patrolling the mid-wicket boundary. One more to Curran, 42 to him, 87 for 3.
But the way these two guys, Curran and Zaber, are shaping up, it looks to me as if Curran said, I'm going to bat through here. I'll take advantage of anything over length or wide. I'll climb in and say if you might want to push on a wee bit. And actually, they could both play that consolidating role.
Here's Gorvin again, bowls this time to Zabe, drives uppishly, and Gorvin sticking down a right hand. It didn't carry to him, I don't think, but it wasn't far away. Just played a little bit too early, not for the first time. Safe save, just pushing at that ball a little bit. It could easily have gone to hand. In the end, I think it went to him on the half volley. I know you're looking at the...
Yeah, I didn't quite
checking
reach
on the replay.
Yeah.
Around the wicket comes Gorvin again, and that's wristily played away to backward point, but no run. End of the over. Zabe is 20, Curran is 42, 87 for 3. 17 overs gone, so about a third of the way through the Northamptonshire reply. Remember, the target is at 296, while the players just taking a drink and sanitising themselves. I'll just quickly run you through what's happening in the other games. At Chelmsford, looking good for Essex. Middlesex 212 all out. Essex 126 for 1 after 24. At Bristol, Gloucestershire 171 all out. Lancashire are 88 for 2. So they need, another 84 to win, and they've still got 31 overs remaining. At Grace Road, plenty of runs there. Leicestershire 327 for 7. Yorkshire 107 for 1 in the 17th over. At Taunton, Derbyshire 170 for 3 in the 33rd over. That's a 2 o'clock start there. As we mentioned, the game between Sussex and Durham down at Hove has been abandoned without a ball bowled because of rain. At Edgbaston, Nottinghamshire 323 all out. Warwickshire 89 for 1 off 17, break off.
Yeah, Stephen Reingold starting his 5th over, and has happened a number of times in his first 4 overs. Good line and length, pushed up to extra cover, no run. He's there or thereabouts, and he's saying to the batters, if you want to take some risk, go ahead. I'm going to give you very little to work with. This second ball is, again, a very straight ball, a little bit quick, a little bit of a lower arm, just tucked into the leg side. Well fielded by Callum Taylor, who'll be happy that he didn't have to dive. He's dived for so many balls, no run.
And the only other match I haven't mentioned at New Road, Kent 322 for 7, Worcestershire 114 for 1 in the 20th.
Reingold in again, just no width on offer, just bowls it onto leg stump. Ben Curran very nicely tucks it into the leg side. And I think, give Ben Curran some praise here. You would think he's playing it as though Hamish Rutherford played it, in that kind of very experienced way. If you give me a half volley, I'll drive it. Give me a short wide ball, I'll cut it. Otherwise, I'm going to try and knock it around. Give me a good ball, I'm going to defend it. Just playing what's served up, which is ideal. This next one is tossed up by Reingold. Very full. Safe can't really direct it so full. It has to hit it straight along the ground, all the way out to long off for a single.
I totally agree. And that's what he needs to do. And he just needs to keep doing this. Just keep going and going and going. He needs to be that person. Like I said, I still feel if we're gonna win this, I say we, apologies. Northamptonshire are going to win this game. Come back to this.
This next ball is a little bit flatter, a little bit shorter of a length. Ben Curran onto the back foot. Just pushes it into the covers, where that won't have happened many times. Michael Hogan comes off the deep cover boundary. I wonder how he feels about that. To pick it up and sends in a razor-like return.
Nearest place to get a drink, I think, out there.
That's what it is for the single.
Very smart.
So last ball of this over is our Safe trying to create some room to hit it through the offside to bring Michael Hogan into play again. But very well bowled by Reingold. Follows him, cramps him for room, and there's no run. So another indication there of Safe. I'm probably a bit of a broken record here, but he's just looking to create something rather than playing what's in front of him. And lo and behold, he's not succeeding in doing that. He'd be better holding his shape, just responding to what's in front of him. Northamptonshire don't need to take any risks at this stage, certainly not for the next 5, 6, 7 overs. If they can go along at 5 and over, then they'll be happy with that.
Can I just ask you, because on a captaincy point, it just interested me that as soon as they came out of the power play, Kieran Carlson switched to the 2 newcomers to the side, Gorvin making his debut, Reingold making his second appearance for Glamorgan. It just seemed a really good time to get them both into the attack.
Get them in early. Get them into
Clever
the game
bit
early.
of captaincy. Here's Gorvin starting his 5th over round the wicket and driven up past the man at short extra cover, at short mid wicket rather, looking to save the one, but didn't save the one on this occasion as the ball eluded him. That was Stephen Reingold. And they're able to come through for a single. One more to Curran, 45 to him, 91 for 3. Here's Gorvin again, busy bustling round the wicket, medium pacer, driven out to extra cover by Zabe. And the ball just bobbling again out there on one of what used to be the old practice pitches down there. Well fielded in the end by Hamish Rutherford. I think somebody probably made a helpful remark, which he's just acknowledging.
I think it's hit him somewhere quite hard.
Yeah, but, kept it to 1 anyway. 22 to Zabe, 92 for 3. Gorvin in again round the wicket, bowling to Curran, driven up to Michael Hogan in a really more accustomed fielding position at long on, coming in off the boundary.
He's actually, honestly, I've seen Michael Hogan probably get 3 or 4 run-outs in his career, and he's a really good fielder.
He's a brilliant mid-off, mid-on, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because people take him on and he runs them out. Yeah, I've seen that as well.
Picks the ball up really cleanly as well.
Here's Gorvin again, round the wicket, bowls to Zabe, who played rather an expansive, uppish drive away through backward point. And there was a dive by Joe Cook at backward point. It was a really good dive, diving away to his right. Almost got a hand to it. It was uppish for a while, but it just fortunately for Zabe eluded the fielder. Goes down for a couple of runs. 24 to Zabe, 95 for 3. 5 runs off the first 4 balls of the over. Here's Gorvin in again, bowls to Zabe, drives it back down the pitch, and it deflects off the bowler. And Ben Curran was interested in a single, Zabe wasn't. And he had a sort of Zoom conference call to decide what was going to happen next. And then they realised that Zabe was on mute, so they had to unmute him, and eventually they decided not to run. Here's Gorvin again round the wicket, bowls to Zabe, who drives it back to the bowler, who makes a good stop in his follow-through. End of the over, and again they're bustling through overs here and using them up. It's clever cricket by Glamorgan. 95 for 3. We've had 19 overs. Zabe is 24, Curran 46.
Yeah, they're bowling really well. I spoke earlier about bowling in partnerships, and that's exactly what these two are doing. They're giving their captain some control, and that's exactly what he needs right now. And I do feel like the pressure is starting to looks like both these batters are just trying to do something, trying to force the issue. They both want that boundary that gives them a bit of comfort, and just they don't need to do that. They don't need to. They've got to accept here that Morgan are bowling very well. They're ticking the ball out, going. What are we going a lot at? 5 and over, which is fine for this period of the game. And that's exactly what they need to do. It's just sticking with this for as long as they can.
Yeah, the rate's manageable, and the rate's manageable at a run and a half more than this. But if we lose wickets at this stage, if Northampton lose wickets at this stage, then that is more of a problem than a couple of quiet overs. But there are two young men there who want to make an impact, and got to keep the heart rate down and keep their brains switched on. As Reingold starts again, this one is slightly short of a length, and Curran picks the length well, rocked onto the back foot. Michael Hogan sent in a fantastic return over the top. He can throw, can't he? We know this. He runs people out for fun. And I think he's enjoying himself out there on the deep cover boundary.
Still can't believe he's 40. Amazing effort. Looks fit as a fiddle.
One's added to the total, 96 for 3. Reingold, who's bowled very well, holds that one back, and Safe loses his shape completely and cloths the ball. That was a cloth. There's no beach towel there. That was a dishcloth picked up by mid-wicket.
That was a rag.
It was a rag. A drag. It was a dot ball, and not a great shot. Ryan got in again. This one a little bit flatter. Nice. Save pushes it up to mid-off. So Ryan got obviously only his second game, but he's got very good control. He clearly knows what he's doing. He's bowling like a very experienced off-spinner, really, for someone in his second List A game. And obviously Glamorgan saw something in him very quickly when he played against them recently for Wales, and they've snapped him up, and he looks the part. And he comes again. That one's tossed up.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, Salter as well is a very good bowler who's not playing. So to keep him out of the attack, to keep him out of the team, they must see something in him, and I can totally see it. He's bowling brilliantly. It's the control I'm really pleased at, and the way he's prepared to mix it up as a youngster. That's brilliant to see.
This next one again, Curran can only rock on to the back foot. They're looking for 2. They won't get 2. Michael Hogan makes the ground to his left, sends in another good flat return into the keeper, Cullen. One more is added to the score. Ben Curran moves on to 48. The scoreboard's quick today. The total to 98 for 3. Another over is nearly finished as Reingold gets through them quickly. Drags that one down. It's cut. One bounce, a backward point. Dot ball. Save frustrated. Couldn't beat the fielder there. There's 2 men behind. Score on the offside. Quite close together for that very delivery, and can't beat them. So the score remains 98 for 3 after 20 overs.
Just a bit of frustration there from Safe at the end after he played that shot where he created some room, hit the ball off the middle of the bat, but it went straight to back for point. There was just a bit of frustration in his reaction afterwards, and he doesn't need to. He's on 25 off 40 balls. You might be looking up at the scoreboard in the modern game and thinking, cool, I want to catch up. I'm behind here. Look at my strike rate, but you don't need to. Ben's playing really well. It looks like he's actually settled down, doesn't he? He looks like he's really got the bit between his teeth and he's in his bubble. Don't want that to be the commentator's famous last words, so I'm touching some wood. But they need to keep going with this. I said in the first innings as well, if you're anywhere near around the 100 mark after 20 overs, you're always in the game. And the fact that we've lost 3 wickets, we can't afford to lose any more.
Well, Andrew Gorvin's given a bit of a break after bowling 5 overs for 23, and Joe Cook is coming into the attack to bowl his medium pace. It's an interesting point, isn't it, about this whole business of batsmen who wear their heart on their sleeve, and who even from this distance, and we're quite a long way away, you can tell exactly what they're thinking, exactly what they're feeling, and I just contrast that to players of perhaps an earlier vintage, some of them at any rate. Is Joe Cook then starting his bowling for the day and just burying that one into the pitch, digging it into the pitch, and Curran looking to pull, doesn't time it, goes up to mid-wicket on the bounce, and there's no run. Think of, I was thinking of the likes of John Edrich and people like that, going back to when I first started watching cricket. You wouldn't have known whether they were 0 or 200, they just, or what was happening to them. They just got on with it. And It's a different era, I know. Is Cook bowls to Curran, who looks to drive, doesn't time it at all. He's just really struggling a little bit with his timing at the moment. He gets a single as it runs out to deep mid-wicket. Nick Selman fielding out there, the boundary in front of the West Stand, and they're through for a single.
I think some players, it's almost like they want other people to
see
that you're disappointed with it, whereas other players really couldn't care less about it. I guess it's all down to personality in individuals.
Emilio Gay's another one, I think, on the Northamptonshire side, who we basically commented, I think, when he was making his 100 against Bedfordshire earlier in the week, that he does wear his heart on his sleeve. You can very much see what he's thinking, and whether he's frustrated or whether he's on top of his game or whatever. Here's Cook round the wicket again, bowls to Zebu, pulls, and it almost is caught at mid-wicket. It just landed in front, I think, of Steve Reingold there. Quite tight in on the single at mid-wicket. I don't think it quite carried to him.
It was a good attempt.
But it was a good attempt. And
wasn't the best shot.
It wasn't a great shot.
He looks like he's looking for it as well, which I never like with a batsman. Just play the ball on merit.
Just fretting a little bit, I think you sense at the moment. Here's Cook round the wicket again, bowls short, very short. Zabe takes it on. It's running down towards the boundary at fine leg, and he's going to get 4 runs for it. It wasn't particularly well timed, but he'll settle for that in the circumstances, where every little helps, as they say. And that's the 100 up for Northamptonshire, 103 for 3. And no, it isn't, sorry. The scoreboard is incredibly quick today.
It's slow.
No, it is. No, it was slow. I thought it was. 103 for 3. I'm starting to doubt myself. 29 to Zabe, 49 to Curran.
No unsafe save here. He's ticking now, and I don't think he'll come back from there. So I think he'll continue to play at a slightly higher risk than is needed. It may come off, of course.
Here's Cook round the wicket, bowls to Zabe, pulls that away. It's a better shot, much better shot, but he's only going to get 1 for it. Life being unfair, goes out to Selman, just runs out to them at deep mid wicket. But it was a much better position, much more convincing stroke, and now he's signalling to the dressing room for a fresh pair of gloves. Zabe up to 30 off 44 balls. Northamptonshire 104 for 3. Cook running in again from this pavilion end. Bowls again short to Curran, who pulls for a single, and that's 50. 50 to Ben Curran, so he'll be pleased with that. He's doing his job for the side, as I say. If it is a question of him maybe just batting through and letting others do the rapid scoring at the other end, and he's sort of anchoring the innings. 50 off 53 balls, so it's not exactly a blockathon. You think that Hamish Rutherford, for example, reached his 50 off 71. Anyway, end of the over, 105 for 3, 21 overs gone. Curran is 50, Zabe is 30. 174 balls remaining, 191 runs needed. So the scoring rate just edging up a little, 6.6 at the moment, required rate.
I wonder if there's an opportunity to get a little message on there. Harry Gouldston, the 12th man running a drink. And I wonder whether John Sadler in his first campaign as head coach is taking that opportunity. He doesn't have to by any means, and sometimes it's best not to say anything, but whether he might be saying, it's bat for another 5, just bat for 5 overs and see where we are there. That's what he needs to do. But sometimes sending messages on can confuse players, and you're better off not saying anything at all. But Stephen Reingold will continue. He's bowled 5 overs so far, very, very well, I have to say. This is the start of his 6th over, short of a length. Ben Curran rocks back. They might get 2 here. This ball's gone a little bit straighter to Michael Hogan's left. Had to make more ground than he has been doing. Had he picked it up, I think it might have been tight. They were going to go for 2. They did go for 2. There was a bit of a fumble in the outfield, unusually for Michael Hogan, so we will never know. But
good running, though. Good. Putting the fielder under pressure.
But I think it would have been tight, because
I agree.
Had he picked it up, but 2 off the first ball of the over. Nice start. This next one is, again, a bit shorter of a length. Curran looks to punch it through the offside. That's a cheeky single. Curran looked to punch it through the offside. It was a good tumble-in stop by Kieran Carlson. The ball just evaded him as he pushed his hands at it, and it went far enough away from him that they could safely come through for the single, which takes Curran on to 53.
Yeah, he's played very nicely. Very, very mature for a young man. So his role now, like we said, is just to carry on and bat all the way through.
This next ball will be called wide. It was a floaty one down the leg side. There was a half appeal for a stump in, but safe. So I think he was out of his crease at one point, but slid his back foot in. Called wide down the leg side. So 1 is added to the score, and that will need to be bowled again. I do think the sweep's a good option here. There's only one man out at square leg. He's pretty much bang on square. As Rheingold's in again. Drops short, Save cuts it. It's got a good hand by Rheingold, and such a good hand that it deflected into the path of the oncoming Michael Hogan. So only one is added.
Yeah, I certainly think that when they think the right time to up the ante or to get that boundary early in the over, I think for safe, that's a good option. It's something I have seen him work on in the last couple of years over the winters, is sweeping and reverse sweeping. And he's played it pretty well, actually, this year in the T20s. So I definitely think you're right. That's an option they'll go to.
Ben Curran facing this next ball, slower delivery. And that says a lot about where Ben Curran is. Just rocked forward, defended that ball, said, OK, you kind of done me in the air a little bit. I've got nothing to work with. I'm not going to push back through that. I'll just defend it and absorb that one well bowled. This is an attempted sweep this time by Ben Curran. It's a bit of a faster ball by Rheingold. Probably anticipated something happening, but pushed it through a little bit quicker, but lost his line as a result. Nice take by the keeper down the leg side, whipped the bails off, but wide is called again. Second wide of the over.
Keepers love that, don't they? Generally, whenever it goes down the leg side and they catch it, the bails go.
I think we should call them lunatics rather than keepers, really, because pretty much to a man they are lunatics. This next ball is short of a length, punched very well by Ben Curran off the back foot. Michael Hogan, he's doing a lot of work out there for a 40-year-old opening bowler.
He does not move like a 40-year-old. I'm in awe, actually. I didn't know that at all. I didn't realise he was that old, and that's amazed me even more. He's been a fine servant for county cricket, let alone Glamorgan, and at 40 years old, amazing effort.
Last ball of this over from Rheingold. Again, all that's very full, and Curran looking to hit the ball up to long on to take a single. It got under his bat. I think it hit him on the foot, but it was drifting down the leg side, so no appeal, no run. And at the end of that, which was the 22nd over, another good over from Rheingold. He's bowled very well in his second game in the List A format. 113 for 3. Safe will be facing the next over is on 31. Ben Curran, a very well accumulated 55. I feel he'll need to double that number if Northampton are going to get close to this total.
Yeah, I agree. And this is an interesting challenge for both of these batsmen here, because it looks to me like Cook is trying to bang the ball in halfway down the wicket, and that will be with a mixture of slower balls and bounce. So the batsman will know what's coming, and it's now up to these two to work out what they do. If you know it's coming, sometimes you can preempt and you try and hit it too hard, or you can look at trying to be too cute where you're going to hit it, whereas they just need to respond and actually just back themselves with the ability that they've got just to respond naturally to where the ball's bowled.
I think that's right, Al. I think he is looking to bang it in and get hit to the long boundary, but Safe can just get a little bit leg side of it. He opens up the offside with low risk as well.
Here's Cook starting his second over, bowling over the wicket, and that's a little bit fuller than he has been bowling. It's a really good length ball, but a little bit of width enough to enable Zabe to run it down to third man for a single. Fielded down there by Lucas Carey. One more to Zabe, 32 to him, 114 for 3.
Interestingly, Michael Hogan has come in off the boundary. He's got himself into mid-on. And as a result of that, the bowler's come over the wicket and has bowled a different line and length immediately. I don't know if Michael Hogan's had some input to that. I suspect he may have done.
There's a deep square on the boundary and a long leg on the boundary and a fairly wideish third man on the boundary, and extra cover on the boundary as Cook comes in, bowls good length ball, defended by Curran, back up the pitch. Cook fields and there's no run. It's interesting what you were saying about messages coming out from the pavilion, how they can sometimes confuse rather than amplify or elucidate. And a wonderful story by a gentleman named Harry Johnson, or you'll remember, one of the great men of Northamptonshire cricket, who he sadly lost a few years ago. Come back to that as Cook bowls, and Curran's gone down the pitch. He's gone straight up in the air, and he's going to be caught by the keeper, and he is. And Curran, well, I can only describe that as a rush of blood. He came down the pitch, went for a big hit. It went straight up in the air. It was up there a long time. Tom Cullen, the keeper, called for it. And Curran, having said that he was going to try and bat through, he knows what he's done. He's full of remorse, but unfortunately for him, it's too late. He's out for 55. Joe Cook's picked up the wicket, and Northamptonshire 114 for 4.
My colleague will want to comment on that. But my colleague Alex Wakely to my right said about 20 minutes ago, sometimes Ben Curran does things that he doesn't need to do and will play a shot that's not on, trying to force the pace. Over to you, Al.
Yeah, look, he's played so well there. He absorbed all the pressure early on. He came out and it came straight off the middle of his bat with a couple of gorgeous straight drives. and then he settled into a lovely rhythm. And as I alluded to earlier, with Ben, it's hard to describe really. I can sympathise with him a little bit because there'd be times, especially early on in my career, where I feel in great nick and then I just miss a straight one. And similarly with Ben, you know something's going to happen sometimes. Something that's that little rush of blood that you don't know where it comes from. He had full control of that innings there, and he's tried to run down there. It looked like he tried to launch him over straight into the sight screen or over long on, and the ball's just gone straight up in the air. He's lost all his shape, which is pretty much the first time he's done that. And in the end, it's a very soft dismissal. And he'll walk off and he'll sit there and just think, why? Why did I do that? Why didn't I just keep on batting?
Yeah, it's funny. It's absolutely right. Having seen them, been fortunate enough to see every ball of every match this year, and just thought when he was saying that, went back to Hove in the championship match when he was struggling for runs in red ball, and he thought he had all the time in the world. Northamptonshire were going out to chase a relatively small target of 218, but they had a day and a session to get them, and he just had to bat. And he went out and was caught top edge on the boundary on the hook in the second or third over, and you just thought, why? And that rather sums up Ben Curran's season, unfortunately for him. Well, he's out. Charlie Thurston's in. The batsman cross, so Saif Zaib is facing, and he clips that one out to mid-wicket, where it's fielded there by Andrew Gorvin, and there's no run. 114 for 4, it stays in the 23rd over.
On a positive note for Northampton, you've got a very fine player coming in Charlie Thurston, also a right-hander, so you've got a left and right-handed combination at the wicket. Sometimes can upset the batsman, the bowler's line in length. But Charlie is a fine player, so we need another partnership together here between him and Saif Zaib.
Here's Cook in again, bowls to Zaib and just chops that down nicely down towards third man. And they're able to come through for a single. Lucas Carey fielding down there in front of what used to be the old bowling green. One onto the total, 115 for 4. Zaib up to 33. Yeah, I was just finishing that. I was saying about messages going out. And Harry used to tell the story of playing, I think, for the Kettering Masters 11 with J.L. Carr. Jim Carr, a famous novelist, wrote A Month in the Country, which was filmed, and A Day in Summer, and some wonderful books, Season in Sinji, which has a cricket theme. And he used to send out messages, and use of the great ceremony, somebody would come out with a message, and you open up a bit of paper, and it would say, "Get a move on, but don't get out." Sort of the least helpful advice from the captain. Here's Cook in again. Bowls Charlie Thurston's first ball is in behind that, plays it back down the pitch. Cook fields in his follow through. And Joe Cook, who's having a pretty good game, 33 not out of 18 balls with the bat, and he's picked up the important wicket of Ben Curran. 23 gone now, and Northamptonshire 115 for 4. They need another 181 to win off 27 overs. That's an asking rate of 6.7.
Yeah, and there's going to be a bowling change here. Ryan Gold is going to be replaced by Michael Hogan. I think it's a good move. I think this is more that they're looking to maybe hold Ryan Gold's last 4 overs back. He's bowled very nicely here. And I think, this is, like I was alluding to there, sometimes when you start, for Charlie here, when you're starting, when someone's partnership's been put together and you come in and you're a new batsman, you want to be rotating quickly. You don't want to get 1 or 2 dots straight away because the pressure can build very quickly just because we're starting to get slightly behind the game. So Charlie will want a nice start here. He'll want to find his feet. He'll want to get 1 and 2s early. And again, he just needs to rebuild with Saif Zaib here.
So Hogan to start his 6th over. First ball is back of a length into the hip. Saif Zaib tucks it into the leg side. Taylor very busily fields from mid-wicket. There's no run. Throw came in, hit the non-striker's bat.
Talking of running messages on, one of the things I found is you've got to pick the person to run the message on. Because I was very anti-messages, because the majority of the time when you ask the message to go on, the wrong message would get there. It's like Chinese whispers. By the time they actually got out to the middle, they'd say the wrong message, and it generally would be the 12th man who would be a younger player. Absolutely.
Hogan in again. Again, bowls back of a length into Saif Zaib's hip. He tucks it into the leg side, can only pick up the single. As Hamish Rutherford comes in from the mid-wicket boundary, sent in yet another poor return for a man of his calibre in the game. The keeper takes it back pedaling. There's no damage done, just 1 added to the score, which is now 116 for 4. Yeah, I've no problem with Ben Curran coming down the wicket a little bit to Cook, to put him under a bit of pressure. It doesn't mean he has to go through with the shot. You know, if it's in the slot, if the bowler doesn't change his length, then you've got a slot ball and push through it, back over the top, no problem with that. But he didn't. The bowler did drag his length back, and he wasn't able to execute. So Charlie Thurston now facing Michael Hogan. That ball's banged in. and Thurston gets under it well. It's going to go down the leg side. Had it been a length ball, it would have been called a wide, but umpires seem to ignore that the line sometimes when it goes into the middle of the pitch as it flies down past leg stump, over leg stump for a dot ball. He's a very good player of the short ball, Charlie Thurston. He's a very good player of many balls. He's a fine young player. Let's hope he can get himself in, make a contribution here. Hogan comes in again. This ball is a perfect line and length. Thurston's gone across his crease a little bit, pushes it back up to mid-on. Interesting, Al, I've always had Charlie Thurston down in white ball cricket as a guy who stays a little leg side of it to open up square of the wicket, but just early in his innings at least, he's just gone across his stumps a little bit.
Yeah, I would say the same. He very, very strong through square on the offside, through backward point region, both front foot and back foot. But I totally agree. It does look like he's going across more. Maybe it's something he's thought with Hogan, with angling the ball back in. Maybe. I'm sure there's some thought process behind it.
So the evergreen Michael Hogan comes in, bowls a short ball. Charlie Thurston on cue pulls it, and it's one bounce, a very good pull shot, well in front of square. It landed about 6 inches inside the big boundary to the leg side, level with the bowler's stumps. That's how far in front of square he got the ball. And if Michael Hogan didn't know that Charlie Thurston could play the short ball, he does now. So the next one will either be a lot quicker or there won't be another one, I suspect.
It's the modern batsman that as well, isn't it? No, none of this scratching around. Short ball, bang. I think where the Glamorgan got into trouble with the pull shot, they didn't really commit, whereas that was full commitment all the way through to the shot.
Absolutely. So last ball of Michael Hogan's over, returning at the far end, and that could be out, and it is out. It was a back of a length ball, sort of a nothing ball really. I don't know whether it stayed in the pitch a wee bit. Charlie Thurston looking to work the ball into the leg side, got a thick edge, a leading edge, and it looped up to mid-on, who really had so much time to catch it. And that's a tame end, a bit of a soft one, it has to be said. At 120 for 4 now becomes 120 for 5, and Northants are in quite a bit of trouble now.
Yeah, it was a innocuous ball really, wasn't it? Back of a length. I think where Charlie's got into trouble there was he tried to force it, and he ended up using too much bottom hand, and on a wicket that is a bit stoppy, especially when you're not in. Charlie, he's only been out there for a few balls. He hasn't had a chance to get used to the pitch. You want to be letting the ball come to you as long as possible and playing it right under your eyes. And I would imagine that he was just in front of him, he was pushing, playing too hard with the bottom hand, and the ball looped up to mid-on. And unfortunately, it's been a bit of a theme for Northants cricket really in general. I mean, across all formats, probably for a number of years now, in soft dismissals. Yeah. We used to have this, as you well know, we had a wicket dismissal chart at the end of the year, and there'd be an other court other, and we would always be far higher than any other team. And it's something for us going forward that, sorry again for saying us, I do apologise. It's hard for me to step out of my Northants shoes, but it's something that they, that I know that the coaching team here will definitely want to correct.
I know we called it court other, didn't we? And we brought it to the attention of the batsmen as often as we dared, really, from time to time. And our court other stat, Northants court other stat, was too high in comparison to others. But I did hear another cricketer somewhere, and I can't place who it was, someone currently playing the game, who called them gimmies. And I thought, well, that's that really does bring it home. It's gimmies, and that was. It's not the only one. There's been a couple already today. That was another gimme, and it's a gimme that puts Northants on the back shoe at 120 for 5.
Almost 2 gimmies in 2 overs, really, with Curran out in the 23rd, Thurston in the 24th. Here's Joe Cook starting a fresh over, bowling round the wicket to Safe Zabe, who's playing that up for a single up to mid-on, where Billy Root fields. I wonder if we might see a bit of Billy Root's off-spin at some point. 121 for 5. And now Tom Taylor coming in at number 7 is taking guard from umpire James Middlebrough. Can I ask you, Wake, this is probably a stupid question, but I was just conscious of the fact that during that last over that when Charlie Thurston pulled the ball away for 4, that we had the burst of music, didn't we? Is Cook in over the wicket to Taylor, who's forward, pushing it out in the offside, fielded by Andrew Gorvin, and there's no run. And then we had another burst of music. Is there a sort of fear of silence in modern white ball cricket? And I say it at the point of view of breaking concentration. I just wonder if it's necessary to have, at the end of the over, fine, but do we really need music between deliveries? Here's Cook in again, bowls to Taylor. Well, he's gone route 1. He's driven that away. Very good shot, commitment, straight away, driven it over mid-on for 4. Taylor off the mark with a boundary, 125 for 5.
Well, Tom will play.
Sorry,
Tom will be. Tom will always have full commitment to the shot, and he will play
Yeah.
positively here. And I think he has to. That's his game. But also he has a responsibility here to again try and build that partnership. In terms of music, I think in T20 for me, I just think you play. I know you might not agree with me, but I personally feel like it's more entertainment for the crowd, and you should just play music all the time. You don't have time out there in the middle to really notice it. But in the longer formats of the game, you're not creating, especially the 50 over competition, you're not creating a party atmosphere. So I totally agree with you. Sometimes I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think it's different for T20, but I'm just conscious of it. And that last over, it's probably me being older and crabbier than usual. But here's Cook over the wicket, bowls to Taylor, who forces that away nicely off the back foot. Crisp stroke out to the man sweeping on the cover boundary.
You get a lot of individuals answering that in different ways as well, I think. Lots of people when I was in the dressing room, would notice everything from people moving behind the side screens to people moving in Delapre Park when they're batting out here somehow. And people would get very upset about things, whereas I personally didn't really notice anything like that. So I think it would come down to the individual.
126 for 5. Zabe on strike with Cook altering his angle to the left-hander coming round the wicket. Plays that up to mid-wicket and there's no run. Oh yes, I can think of one or two of those down the years. Our dear friend, late and much lamented David Capel was one who was not terribly keen on lights going on in the press box, has happened once or twice. And Nigel Felton, who's now cricket chairman at Northampton, was another one when he was out there batting. Cook round the wicket, bowls to Zabe, who pulls it away out through mid-wicket. Again, Selman's in business. They come through for a single, one more to Zabe, who nicks the bowling as well. 36 to him, 5 to Tom Taylor. 127 for 5, and that's the halfway stage. 25 overs gone. So Northamptonshire requiring another 169 to win off 25 overs. The asking rate, 6.8, which is not on the face of it out of sight, but ideally you'd want to have more than 5 wickets in the hutch, I think.
Yeah, I entirely agree with you there. I think that realistically now this partnership has to take Northampton on for the next 50 runs at least. Got to save. Maybe this is what he needs as well. We're saying he was getting a little bit twitchy, but maybe now the responsibility is on him now to be the batsman who has to bat through.
Oh, he's facing Glamorgan's best bowler, really, and it's Michael Hogan, who comes in and bowls over length. Safe drives down the ground. A good tumbling stop at mid-on. Can't prevent the single, but prevents any more than a single, which takes Safe on to 37. The score to 128. And I think we did talk about this. We touched on it, but what a good bit of captaincy, I think, from Kieran Carlson to bring Michael Hogan back at the fall of the previous wicket so that Charlie Thurston has to start against the best bowler. He doesn't get in against the young off-spinner. In his second game, he has to try and get in against Michael Hogan, and guess what? He got out against Michael Hogan. So
recognising it was a crucial moment in the game.
Absolutely.
Brilliant captaincy.
Good bit of captaincy, very positive move. Tom Taylor now facing up to Michael Hogan. Good line and length, and Taylor rocks forward, drops it into the offside. No run.
Yeah, going back to the people noticing everything. I mean, the worst Richard Levy, I hope he's listening because he was terrible.
Off the scale.
I mean, he would notice someone moving on Mars. And the amount of times he'd ask someone standing, it was incredible to watch, and you knew something was going to happen in every game. His peripheral vision must be extraordinary.
Michael Hogan in again from the Lynn Wilson end. Bowls back of a length, and Taylor rocks onto the back foot, plays a nice defensive shot, can't do much with it. I was just thinking about that guy who decided to sit in the middle of the sight screen at the far end. He's still within the boundary of the sight screen. He's still at the edge of the sight screen. He would not be there if Richard Levy was on the field.
No.
He would have been moved. He might have been escorted out of the ground.
I'm not sure that stand would have actually been, no one would have been allowed to sit in there, actually.
Richard Levy probably on the golf course, I suspect, rather than listening to us talk nonsense. As Hogan comes in again, bowls another good ball, and this time he does Taylor outside off stump. Looks like that pitched and left him. Good bit of bowling. There hasn't been a lot of seam movement, but that one certainly nipped past the edge of Taylor's bat. Unfortunately for him, he didn't make any contact. So he remains on 5. He's a capable player, Tom Taylor. Maybe a little kind of limited in his scoring areas. Certainly likes to bang it straight down the ground. But he can play, but he's got to play for 25 overs, and that's a different equation to where he normally comes in. But it's an opportunity for him to rebuild. Hogan again. He's just saying, I'm going to bowl line and length. Let's see if you want to defend that all day. If you want to take me off there, good luck, because you've got to take a big risk.
he doesn't need to do anything different, especially as he's got a new batsman in. He knows that they're not really going to take the risk. They're not going to put him under too much pressure. And he can just run in and bowl it on in length. And it's a hard one to work out from the batting point of view here because they don't, they've got to weigh out which way they go. Is it stick or twist?
Talking of stick or twist, we've got to look over the heads of two ex-Northants players. I'll come back to those as Hogan comes in again. Back of a length, Taylor on the back foot, pushes into the leg side. So we've been kind of joined at... we've been rudely interrupted by two ex-Northants players, Rob Newton and Dave Murphy. Hello, chaps.
Look very smart, actually. We've already commented on you walking over there. We thought you might still have the same shirt on, even, Dave. Seen that one plenty of times before.
He's probably got his kit in his bag just in case there's an injury.
Well, at this rate, you might have to get the pads on at 128 for 5 with 24 overs to go. Well, obviously, right now up to 7. Looking at the DLS, the fall of those couple of wickets really has made a big difference on that particular equation. And here's Joe Cook starting a fresh over, bowling over the wicket to Zabe Sabre, plays that down to backward point. And it's fielded by Callum Taylor. And there's no run, stays on 128 for 5. Zabe on 37, Taylor on 5. Northamptonshire having lost Emilio Gay for 0 in the first over, Ricardo Vasconcelos for 17, Rob Keogh for 7, at that stage 49 for 3, then a partnership. Cook in again, bowls to Zabe, who drives nicely away through extra cover, beats two diving fielders. That's probably the best shot he's played, and it runs away for 4. 41 to Zabe, and Northamptonshire to 132 for 5. Then we had a 65-run partnership between Safe Zabe and Ben Curran. That ended when Curran was out for 55. And then in the next over, Charlie Thurston following for 4. At that stage, 120 for 5. It's now 132 for 5. Long way to go for Northamptonshire. Here's Cook in again. Bowls to Zabe, defends it up to mid-wicket. Fielded by Andrew Gorvin on debut. And there's no run bowled. 5 tidy overs.
I think it's a good... Safe needed that boundary, I think, as well. It came at a good time. He didn't really have to take any risk to make that. It was just a lovely execution of a cover drive. Cook's bowled really well here. He's kind of gone under the radar.
I say he's having a good game, isn't he? Here's Cook in again. Bowls to Zabe, who pulls. Has gone out to deep square, mid-wicket, and he's caught. And he's just picked out the man, Nick Selman, who had to probably come in about, 5 yards, if that, and went straight to him. And Zabe goes, and I think with him, would imagine go Northamptonshire's hopes of winning this match. He goes for 41, caught by Selman off Cook, who continues to have an extremely good game. And Northamptonshire now 132 for 6.
Yeah, full credit to Cook. He's bowled very nicely. Like you said, he's had a great game. From a Northamptonshire point of view, you'd be very disappointed with the last 3 dismissals. I'm not going to go as far as saying gifting Glamorgan wickets, because that's not the case. You build pressure as a bowling union, and that's exactly what they've done. But as individuals, they'll be very critical of themselves. Often you talk about bowlers getting you out, but I think in this sense, the last 3 wickets, unfortunately, have been the batsmen getting themselves out.
Yeah, I think part of batting that's underrated and what's the word I'm looking for? Misunderstood sometimes is the ability to bat at a certain tempo without making mistakes. And Northants, yes, they have been put under pressure, and I think credit to Glamorgan in the field and with their bowling has been great, and the captain's marshalled his troops very well. So full credit to Glamorgan. But Northants have made mistakes, and it's been an ever-present really in the white ball cricket in this format and in T20 over a number of years now, is that generally Northants make more mistakes with the bat than other teams tend to make.
Yeah, when Northamptonshire are on form, they're one of the best white ball sides going around. But that generally tends to come off by playing really positive attacking cricket, and when you're taking the game to the opposition. Where Northamptonshire haven't been so good, it's absorbing pressure, recognising when the crucial moments are within games and not letting sides win those moments. More often than not, we tend to lose 2 or 3 wickets in a row, and that then has a knock-on effect, and you're always then behind the game. And unfortunately, that's happened today.
So Zabe caught Selman, bowled Cook 41, and Joe Cook, well, I'll say 33 not out off 18 balls with the bat, and now picked up a couple of wickets as well. 1-3-2 for 6. Here's Cook in, bowls to the new batsman, Wayne Parnell, and goes through outside the off stump. And there's no run. Yeah, these two, you would imagine, there's not a huge amount to come as far as Northampton is concerned. Obviously, Graham White will have a different view on that, more than capable batsman. But we're now talking about, it's not somebody going into finish, it's somebody actually having to try and put together a partnership of 100 plus. Here's Parnell facing this ball from Cook, and Parnell just driving up to extra cover where it's fielded by the Glamorgan captain Kieran Carlson. Must feeling on top of the world at the moment. Pretty much everything he's trying is working, and he's made some really good calls, I think, in this innings so far. End of the over from Cook, 4 overs, 2 for 20 for him, 132 for 6. Tom Taylor is 5. Parnell yet to get off the mark. And the equation now, 164 needed off 23 overs, with just 4 wickets in hand. And just look at the DLS figure at the moment, which is 211.
Ouch.
Which gives you some idea of how far adrift Northamptonshire are at the moment.
Yeah, these two, obviously, for I was not going to say talent, all-rounders, generally they're used to playing cameos. This is a very different kettle of fish. They've got to build a big innings here together, and they can still do it. They're very talented.
So Kieran Carlson decided to leave Michael Hogan on. I thought, without that wicket having fallen the previous over, I thought he might have pulled him out. He's got 3 overs to bowl. Obviously, this is now his 8th over, so 2 more after this now. But perhaps sensing this is the moment. You know, the foot is on the throat. Perhaps this is the moment to pull the trigger. Let's see if they fancy taking on Michael Hogan. And obviously, he's the best opportunity of them for Glamorgan to take a wicket. One more, and it is absolutely curtains. The run rate now is 7.2 for another 23 overs, which is a long shot, really. So Hogan in again, bangs it in. Short ball. And well played by Tom Taylor. Cuts it hard through backward point, but very good fielding on the boundary by Hamish Rutherford. Now found his rage with his returns as well,
throw.
right over the top. Didn't take him long. So only 1 added to the score. So yeah, we saw Parnell the other night. Northampton had an inter-squad game the other night, and Parnell got a lovely 100 in that game. So he can certainly play, but whether he can play an innings over 23 overs at a run rate of 7.2. Yeah, that's to be found out.
Yeah, staying calm, being able to tick the ball around. It's a different kettle of fish to just smacking it out the park.
Absolutely. Hogan in again, back of a length, nothing to work with, right over off stump, and Parnell drops it into the offside. No run.
By saying that, this is for me. If I was the coach here, I would be saying to the players, "This is a chance for us to not get bowled out for 170. Who knows what's going to happen on later in the competition? Run rates might play a factor." So often sides just fold from this position. Well, we Northamptonshire do bat all the way down, and it's a nice opportunity to see what these guys can do.
Absolutely, stick in, keep them out there. Hogan up again, bowls. This one a little bit fuller, perfect line, perfect length, and perfectly defended by Parnell back down the pitch. No run. He stays on 0. The score stays on 133 for 6. It's a situation where sometimes 50 over cricket, in fact any one-day cricket really, any limited over cricket, including T20. And even the 100, where if a side does get behind in the second innings and gets well behind, the game can be a little bit dull for a while. But Northampton can stick in and then maybe have a flurry later on. Who knows? This next one from Hogan is a very good line and length ball. Pitches and leaves Parnell, flies through to Cullen behind the stumps. Luckily for Parnell, didn't get a feather on it.
Yeah, these two want to field bat and ball, but they've still got to earn the right to do that. That's the thing in 50 over cricket. In T20 or the 100, you can go out there and you can smack it from ball 1. Whereas if they want to have an opportunity to do that, they've got to get sort of 20 runs each on the board, get Northants closer and closer to that target to have a cameo at the end, and then you never know.
So Hogan looking to close out his 8th over. Bowls a very good ball again. How many times we've said that over the years? Michael Hogan, line and length, defended back down the wicket. He fields, completes another very good over, very skillful over by Hogan. He's finished his 8th over. The score remains on 133 for 6. Parnell yet to get off the mark, and Taylor on 6 off 11, including a very good straight drive for 4. But rotation hasn't really been much of a feature of the Northampton innings from the word go.
Yeah, I think it's spot on there. If I was analysing the batting all the way through, we played some lovely cricket shots. I'd imagine in the first 5-10 overs we scored more boundaries than Glamorgan, but we struggled to rotate the strike.
Here's Joe Cook getting a 5th over. Runs in, bowls to Taylor, who's in behind that, plays it up towards mid-on. Kieran Carlson comes round to field, and there's no run here. Talk about the sort of wider context of the competition. If Glamorgan close this game out, which I'm sure they'll be hopeful of doing now, then that'll mean they've got to play 2-1-2, having beaten Warwickshire, of course, in a very tight game back on Thursday. Here's Cook in again, bowls to Taylor, drives stylishly, but only as far as extra cover, who fields it eventually, having knocked it on. And there's no run. Whereas Northamptonshire, and then of course Glamorgan next up play Somerset at Taunton, which will be a tough game for them on Wednesday. Northamptonshire have got to go up to Yorkshire to play the Tykes at Scarborough on Wednesday. Here's Cook in again, bowls to Taylor, Ben plays it nicely up to mid-off, fielded by Billy Root, who shies at the stumps at the non-striker's end, but Taylor was through for the single. He goes up to 7, 134 for 6. And then Northamptonshire have got, after Yorkshire, Surrey at the Oval on Friday.
Been a while there. Been a while since you played 50 over cricket against Surrey,
right.
especially at the Oval.
That's been a very long time. Well, I say it's been remarkable that this is the first match, as we were saying earlier, list A match between these two sides for 12 years. Here's Cook in again, bowls flowing drive by Wayne Parnell, but he's only going to get a single as it goes out to the cover boundary. And they pick up one more run. Parnell off the mark, 135 for 6, Northamptonshire. And so there's one thing about, I suppose, randomly selected groups as these have been in the 50 over cup this year. It does mean that you get to play some sides that you don't normally play in the old sort of regional groups. Here's Cook in again, bowls to Taylor, who's down the pitch, drives that up through mid-on for 4 runs. So Taylor certainly hasn't given it up yet. He picks up 4 more runs, 11 to him, 139 for 6. Northamptonshire still needing another 157 to win off 127 balls, which again you would say is not out of the question, but 6 wickets down, and it's a very tough one from here. Here's Cook in again, bowls to Taylor, who hammers that back to the bowler, hit that hard. Joe Cook manages to get a right hand down to it, stops the ball, end of the over, 139 for 6. Parnell on 1, Taylor on 11. We've had 29 of the 50 overs. And Joe Cook, 5 overs, 2 for 26.
Yeah, there's going to be a change at the far end, as I thought there might be. Hogan's got 2 overs to go, so they're holding those back just in case they need him to come and do something special later on. And there's going to be a change. I think it's Taylor, Callum Taylor, who bowls off spin as well, is coming on from the far end.
Yeah, good move, I think. I think it's harder and harder for all-rounders and lower order batsmen to rotate against spin. They generally like to play positively. They want to score boundaries. And we saw the other night, we were talking about the inter-squad T20. Wayne Parnell can strike a very clean ball. But to do it over a long period, that's a totally different ball game.
So Taylor starts his spell. It's a little bit flatter than Stephen Reingold's off-spin. Slightly different, but nonetheless very accurate. Pushed into the offside, and they scamper through for a single, which gets Parnell on to 2. The score onto 140 for 6.
I think both captains actually have managed the troops very well. Made some very good decisions at the right times. Have been very impressive. Two young captains as well.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Well, Tom Taylor facing the off spin. There's not going to be a lot of turn. He bowls it pretty quick, pretty flat. So, but it's a long boundary, isn't it? Straight down at the far end, hitting towards the Lynn Wilson centre end. It's a long hit down there. Let's see how he goes on. This one's tossed up, and he does hit it down. They're all on the floor for a single. Just to rotate the strike onto 141 for 6 now.
Yeah, Tom Taylor will definitely look to go straight, especially if the mid-off is up. He will look to give himself room as he comes down to the leg side to open his arms up a little bit to target over that towards the sight screen, I guess.
Parnell more extra cover. That one does go through well wide mid-on. I guess that ball, again, quite a low arm, flat, fired in, not giving the batsman really much to hit under. Parnell times it nicely up to the long off, but can only get the single. Dot balls are going to kill Northampton, so it's good that if they can't get a boundary away, just keep rotating. Taylor comes down the wicket to the next ball. It's held back as a result by Taylor, well bowled.
Nice bowling, that.
But they're both called Taylor. That's confusing. It's held back by the bowler, who's called Taylor, and the batsman called Taylor chips it over mid wicket for a single. He moves on to 13. But nice variation there by Taylor, the bowler, who's now into Parnell. Tosses that one up a little bit. Parnell can work it through the vacant cover area out to the fielder on the boundaries. Nick Salmon comes in.
Got the right intent here, haven't they?
Yeah, it's good.
They're prepared to knock it around. That's just what they've got to do. Stay in this game for as long as possible.
Absolutely. Stay in as long as you can. Take it deep. This next one is a attempted reverse sweep by Tom Taylor. I've seen him practice that shot a lot, and it's not a high percentage shot for him. Probably knocking it down the ground is probably more productive or more effective overall. He misses that one. It's hit him on the pad, no run. So not a bad first over by Callum Taylor. And at the end of that, that's the 30th over. So 20 to go now, 144 for 6.
And the comparison is interesting here because after 30 overs, Glamorgan were 145 for 3. So 1 run in it. But it just goes to show if you've got wickets in hand going into those last 20 overs, which Glamorgan had, then you've got, then all things are possible. Rather less so for Northamptonshire, you feel, but still 20 overs to go. 152 runs needed. Joe Cook back in again, bowling to Parnell, who drives, but only as far as Kieran Carlson's tight there on the single at extra cover. So short extra, and there's no run.
Yeah, the more 50-over cricket I watched and played in over the years, just wickets is just crucial. From a batting perspective, the more wickets you have for the last 10 overs, there's no limit to what you can get. You can just keep going and keep being explosive.
Switching to round the wicket, Cook, who's that ball from Parnell played up to long on, where it's fielded coming in off the boundary by Billy Root, and they're able to come through for a single. 5 to Parnell, 145 for 6. Certainly no shortage of experience as far as Wayne Parnell's concerned. Played a vast amount of white ball cricket around the world. Here's Tom Taylor facing this ball from Joe Cook. Very full, and Taylor drives it up to long on, where it's fielded by Andrew Gorvin, and they're able to come through for another single. 14 to Taylor, 146 for 6. Just looking at one or two of the other games ongoing at the moment, and very nearly over at Chelmsford. Middlesex 212 all out, Essex 209 for 1. So they need 4 to win off 12 overs. Might do it. Round the wicket comes Cook, pulled by Parnell out towards deep square. A despairing dive there by Nick Selman, and it just eludes his grasp. He got a hand to it, but it just couldn't hang on to it. Rolled away over the boundary down in front of the covers. And, well, first boundary for a while, it seems. Parnell up to 9, and Northamptonshire up to 150 for 6.
Brilliant effort, actually, to be
It was
fair.
a terrific effort.
Sprinting to his left, and he nearly got there. One of the most frustrating things as a fielder is where you cover a lot of ground and you put all the effort in, you half stop it, and then it trickles over the boundary.
Here's Cook in again, round the wicket bowling 2. He's caught and bowled, chipped back by Parnell, and a really good reflex catch by Joe Cook, who can do very little wrong today. He's having a terrific game. He picks up his 3rd wicket. Parnell goes for 9, and Northamptonshire 150 for 7.
That is a very, very good catch. Yeah, it's like a very, very talented cricketer, Cook. Didn't do a lot wrong there. He probably tried to play with a straight bat. It went back about waist height, I would say, and a very sharp catch, plucked out the air to his left-hand side on the return. And as a bowler in your follow-through, that's extremely hard to do. They generally either stick or they don't. But when it's your day, they stick like that, and it certainly is Cook's day today.
Yeah, it was. It was pocket height, wasn't it? So it was, his arm was just by his side and he followed through. He just stuck his hand out to the side and it hit the middle of his hand, and that's the end of Parnell. Northampton now 150 for 7.
Joe Cook now 3 for 32, with 1 ball to go of his 6th over, and what a day he's having. And well, as far as Northamptonshire supporters are concerned, if you want a straw to clutch at, then I suppose you can say that the partnership between these two at Edgbaston last year, and there's Graham White comes to the crease. White and Taylor winning a T20 game against the Birmingham Bears at Edgbaston back end of last season, which Northamptonshire had absolutely no right to win. And these two went slightly burlesque towards the end and scored a lot of runs very quickly. But again, we're talking about 146 to win. Northamptonshire, in terms of runs, are only just over halfway, and they've lost 7 wickets. They've just got 19 overs and 1 ball remaining.
Yeah, I might slightly change my opinion of how they go about this now as well. I mean, Graham White is best when he's striking the ball, and I think that's the way he's got to go. Give himself a few balls.
Here's Cook bowling the first ball to Graham White, who tries to cut outside the off stump. Goes past the bat and into the gloves of Tom Cullen, and another successful over from Joe Cook. 6 overs, 3 for 32. Northamptonshire 150 for 7, 31 gone, so 19 overs remaining. 146 to win, which seems a very distant proposition with just 3 wickets standing. Tom Taylor is 14. Graham White yet to get off the mark.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough from here. I think Northampton realistically need a small miracle or something, something really special from one of these two. Some fireworks, and the only realistic way I see Northampton sort of winning this game is someone having a go and striking the ball clean from now on and clearing the ropes. I don't think I've been very much about trying to take the game as deep as possible. I don't think that's the way anymore. These two positive players still got to look at the right options because they are better than just sloggers. But they need someone to have an 80 off 60, 50 balls, if they've got any chance of winning it at all.
Yeah, I'm not putting any of my money on it, Al, to be honest. From here, one never knows as Taylor starts his second over, and the batsman Taylor advances on him, hits it hard to mid off. A good tumbling stop by the fielder there prevents anything more than a single, which brings Graham White onto strike. And both these guys, Tom Taylor and Graham White, can hit a very good straight ball. There's no question about that, but they've got a mountain to climb here. As Callum Taylor comes into bowl, bowls a good line and length. Graham White props forward, drops it into the offside. The ever fast, enthusiastic, and well-led captain. That's not a sentence, but you know what I'm talking about.
We know what you mean.
He's captained very well. Kieran Carlson stops any run. This next run from Callum Taylor, a little bit quicker, a little bit flatter, pushed up again to Carlson, and again no run. Yeah, I guess Graham White will want to get himself in and then perhaps try and have some fun and see if he can make a dent in it. The next ball's dragged down by Callum Taylor, and Graham White, looking really to get forward, can only hold his position, knock it off his hip, gets him on the board at least. It's his first run, tucks it into the leg side, so he's away and running.
Yeah, I think Glamorgan look like a very impressive outfit, don't they? They've been brilliant, actually.
They've done very little wrong, I'd agree. This next one's fired in by Callum Taylor. Tom Taylor rocks onto the back foot, crisply hits it up to the long on.
I think the difference for me has been, especially with the bat, is that they've been prepared to sit in and soak up the pressure when they needed to, and they've reaped rewards later. Well, we didn't do that, Northamptonshire.
Couldn't agree more. And the last ball of Callum Taylor's over is chopped to the man at all along the floor to the man at backward point. There's no run. So in 50 over cricket, I mean, like all cricket, I guess, like all cricket, whatever the format, there's an element of being able to manage the risk at the right time, playing appropriately the lowest risk that you can while still scoring in either setting a score or chasing a score. And I think it's been the inability really to manage that risk appropriately that's been Northampton's downfall, not just today but on other occasions in white ball cricket.
Yeah, and just being able to stay in the moment. You have over the years I've had conversations with some of the best batters in the world about playing white ball cricket in general, and they just stay calm whatever happens. They don't mind if there's 5 or 6 dot balls in a row because they know they've just got the time to catch up later on. And I know as a batting group, when you're out there, you sometimes can get so far ahead of yourself that actually you're playing shots that you don't need to play for another 10 overs or so. Mm-hmm. And I think Northamptonshire has certainly been culpable for doing that today.
Andrew Gorvin coming back into the attack, bowled 5 overs for 23, so he's about to start his 6th over, bowling to Tom Taylor, who is 16 to his credit. Full ball and driven by Taylor, but it's only going to be a single. Up to Billy Root, coming in off the boundary at long off. One more to Taylor. He's 17. Northamptonshire to 154 for 7. I can reveal exclusively that Northamptonshire's club chaplain, David Chawner, has just appeared on the ground. And looking at the scoreboard, you can probably see why.
It's a bit late for that, I think. Is it the last rights?
He's got there ahead of me. Driven up to long on for a single there by Graham White. He goes up to 155 for 7. And, well, Andy Gorvin again has had a pretty good day. Didn't get a chance to show what he could do with the bat, but he's bowled very tidily here on his Glamorgan debut. In again, bowling to Taylor. Again, concedes a single as he drives it up to Root at long off. One more onto the total, 156 for 7. Taylor up to 18. It's all gone a little bit quiet around the ground as well. I've seen 1 or 2 of the home contingent heading for the gates. I was going to say beat the traffic, but probably at Northampton at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, there's not going to be a huge amount of it around. Here's Gorvin in again. Bowls to Taylor. Comes across his stumps. They work it into the onside. Come through for a quick single. Carlson Fields. And just a single onto the total. 158 for 7. White up to 4.
Not going to be long before Tom Taylor tries to plant Gorvin straight down the ground, I think. He's quite a short bowler, doesn't get a lot of bounce. He's bowled really well, don't get me wrong. But I think he might be climbed into very shortly.
Here's Gorvin, and Taylor drives that back crisply on the bounce to the bowler, who fields well off his own bowling. Graham White planting his bat back in the crease to make sure that if it was deflected onto the stumps, he wouldn't at least suffer that most irritating of modes of dismissal. Here's Gorvin, again running away from us, bowling to Taylor, looks to drive, again doesn't time it. Goes off the inner portion of the bat, back down the pitch, fielded by Gorvin in his follow-through, end of the over. 157 for 7, 139 more runs needed, 17 overs remaining. Taylor is 18, White is 3.
He's held a great length there, I think.
He has, and it looks very much as though, from Glamorgan's point of view, they're going to be played 2-1-2, which is a terrific start to the competition for a young Glamorgan side. And they say very well led today by Kieran Carlson, with a bit of experience from Hamish Rutherford at the top of the order, proving vital, I think, and then that explosive finish, and then I think Carlson's marshalled his resources very well indeed.
And here is another one of those resources. Callum Taylor comes in and bowls to Graham White, who tucks it around the corner for a single to take him on to 4 and bring Tom Taylor on to strike. The mid-off is still up, and I think, Alex, you're suggesting, and I would be suggesting the same, that the lofted off drive might be the go-to if he can get under the board, if he gives him anything to get under. But he's gone for the reverse sweep instead, hits it very well, but it's really well fielded by tumbling Billy Root. Only one man on the reverse sweep, and he hit it really well. Another day that goes for 4.
That's the way things are going today.
Sums it up, doesn't it, a little bit? Another dot in shoes. Repeat prescription, an attempted reverse sweep. Goes down the leg side, must have just missed leg stump, not given as a wide, or maybe it clipped the pad.
Yeah, because the rule, if he switches hands and switches legs, it switches him to a left-handed batsman, doesn't it? But he didn't there, so
no.
They must have clipped something. Otherwise, it'll be a wide.
Change in the field, so another man comes over from mid-wicket, has come over to backward point, so protecting that reverse sweep, and the deep square leg fielder goes a little bit squarer for the orthodox sweep now. Taylor's in again. Tom Taylor sits on the back foot, knocks it into the leg side, deep mid-wicket, where Nick Selman comes off the boundary field, takes Tom Taylor on to 19. He's got there quite quickly, actually.
Yes,
I haven't really noticed that. And the score goes on to 159 for 7. The required rate now is nearly 8.5, so it's climbing. Every ball that's one is scored off even, it goes up. This next ball is a held back ball, a very straight ball. Graham White just knocks it behind square with an open face bat. They take a single. Billy Root coming around quickly to his left, can't prevent that. So, yeah, when the run rate's above 6, I mean, this is obvious, but when the run rate is above 6, even every single actually pushes the run rate up very, very, very slightly, as is happening here, and the pressure builds. The pressure builds so much that Tom Taylor runs at the next ball. It's dragged into the wicket by Callum Taylor, but Tom Taylor hits it very hard. One bounce out to long on for a single, so a good bit of bowling.
Another good over.
Another good over. How many times have we said that today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have to say, I think Glamorgan have been very impressive right from the start. The way they've dealt with pressure throughout the batting innings and the bowling innings, but also in the field, they've been really impressive. For a young side, obviously said they have got a bit of experience in there as well. But the fielders have always been in the right positions, almost as the bowlers ready, which make Kieran Carson's job as a captain much easier. And he's led the troops really, really well. And for me, yeah, if they play like this, you can totally understand why they're going to be 2 from 2.
Here's Andrew Gorvin back into the attack, 6 overs, 427 for him so far. Bowls to Tom Taylor, drives nicely through the offside, but straight to Nick Selman, sweeping on the cover boundary. So it's just a single. One more onto the total, 162 for 7. Taylor up to 21. The batsmen have a mid-wicket conference. Now, come on then, Phil, what can they possibly be talking about with the asking rate at 8.5 and over?
Well, I would imagine that they're thinking about this short boundary to the sort of straight, long on boundary, and Andrew Gorvin trying to be planted over that. But he's bowling very, very well. So he's given them, he's at the pace he bowls and the height, he's only a sort of slightly short guy for a seam bowler. He has to have, he has a very narrow margin for length, and he's hitting that length repeatedly. It does remind me, it's come to me actually, it reminds me a little bit of Ravi Bopara.
Yes.
In the way that he bowls. He kind of holds the ball, almost hiding the ball as he runs up. So he's going to make a late change up. You won't pick it. This one is a late change up. It's a back of the hand. Hit straight down the ground. I think it's only going to be one. And I've realised I've taken over ball by ball commentary.
It's fun. No, you
inadvertently.
No. It's a fair point to make. And no, I think Gorvin's doing an excellent job. Yeah, I mean, the short boundary was targeted very well by Glamorgan during those hectic final few overs. 164 for 7 here as Gorvin comes in, bowls to Graham White, who's driven that over mid-off for 4. Not to the short boundary, but to the boundary directly below us. Billy Root just trots back to retrieve the ball. And they're going to need the sanitizer, because I think somebody's picked the ball up and thrown it back onto the playing area, which means that Billy Root's now demonstrating his footballing skills, sliding it back to umpire James Middlebrook, who's got the old hand san out, and sanitising the ball. 4 more onto the total, 168 for 7. Graham White into double figures. He's made 10. No, I think it's been one of those days where pretty much from the get-go, Glamorgan have really thought about this game, shown excellent awareness. That ball slides off the face of the bat to backward point, and White would have hoped for a single, but there wasn't one there. 168 for 7 it stays. Yeah, not least for the patience that they showed, I think, at the top of the Glamorgan innings at 57 for no wicket off 15, but just hung in there. Here's Gorvin in again, bowls, and again White looking backward point, or even just finer down to third man, because there's a man in there at backward point, and the third man is vacant, but he couldn't find the gap. The result being 2 dot balls to finish the over. 168 for 7, White is 10, Taylor is 22, and Northamptonshire have now used up 35 of their 50 overs. So, 24 runs coming off the last 5, 168 for 7, and 128 runs needed off the last 15 overs. The asking rate 8.5.
Really good bowling by Andy Gorvin there. He recognised that he was being targeted straight back down the ground. No great pace, and they were sort of taking him off his length. So he tightened the field up on the offside, dragged his length back a fraction, so they couldn't hit under that bounce because it would have gone straight up in the air. They've now got to beat the men square of the wicket on the offside. He tightens that field and gets 2 dots at the end of the over. Yeah, that's very, very good medium pace bowling. Ravi Bopara wakers. Andy Gorvin he reminds me of Ravi Bopara, as I've decided eventually.
Yeah, and that's a good man to be likened to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first ball of Callum Taylor's next over is knocked into the leg side by Tom Taylor. It just gets out to the edge of the 30-metre circle, and as often happens when it gets there, they manage to run 2 really good running. So Northampton haven't switched off here, which is good to see. They're going to take it as deep as they can, whilst also trying to maximise boundary opportunities, and I think that's probably the right balance. If they just try and knock it around, they're going to get further and further behind. They do need to score the odd boundary, but they don't just want to sort of dial it in from here. They want to take the game as deep as possible. So Taylor round the wicket now to Tom Taylor, fires it in. Tom Taylor trying to give himself something to hit under, comes down the wicket, but can only hit it hard along the ground. No run to mid-off, who's on the edge of the 30-metre circle.
And run rate can be important later on in the tournament.
Absolutely.
It's never worth just throwing a game away, because you never know. And we know more than anyone else. We've missed out.
Yeah, that's hurt us,
in the past.
This next ball again round the wicket from Callum Taylor. They take on mid-off. The throw misses the stumps narrowly. I think he'd have just been home, but I wouldn't want to put any money on it.
I wouldn't put any money on it, bearing in mind the fielder was Joe Cook, and just about everything else he's touched today has turned to gold, as it were. That would have just about rounded it off nicely. Runs, wickets, and a run out.
Yeah, well, he's been brilliant, hasn't he?
Yeah.
From the very first ball that he struck, where he sort of flamboyantly hit it over point for a couple of runs. Everything's turned to gold that he's touched.
That's right. Callum Taylor just drops it in. Graham White lifts it over his own shoulder. A very expansive shot from Graham. I've not seen him play that one very often. Lifting it over his own shoulder, kind of a ramp shot. It picks up 2 runs.
I actually think he played this with the back of his bat on purpose. I'd like to see the replay. I think he kept the bat down to play an orthodox sweep and then actually used the other side. I'm going to give him the credit there and say he did. I think he did, genuinely.
That would be genius. We may get a chance to watch that between balls. The live stream slightly behind. Let's have a look. Yes, he did. Came off the back of the bat anyway. Whether it was deliberate, I'm not as sure. But this next ball was deliberate, and he deliberately knocks it down the ground for a single to long on to take his own score onto 13, the team score onto 174, which would be good news were it not for 4-7, which is not good news. The last ball of the 36th over, Callum Taylor around the wicket at the Lynn Wilson end, drops it in a little bit as he sees Tom Taylor advancing. Tom Taylor can only knock it out to deep mid-wicket for a single, where Nick Salmon fields. That's 175 for 7 at the end of the 36th.
It looks like we might see Lucas Carey coming back on. He didn't have the best of starts, but he got the crucial early wicket, didn't he? And it sort of he settled back into his rhythm after that. And I think it's been another. I can't really fault the captaincy performances of both sides here. Both made the changes when it counts. Whenever there's something sort of drifted in the game a little bit or a partnership's got together, the captains generally made a change, and that change has generally worked.
Essex have beaten Middlesex by 9 wickets down at Chelmsford. Chased down 213 to win with 66 balls remaining, 11 overs. So comfortable win there for Essex. Looks as though it's Lancashire's game at Bristol. Gloucestershire 171 all out, Lancashire 148 for 4. So they need 23 to win off 11 overs with 6 wickets in hand. Could be an interesting one at Grace Road. Leicestershire 327 for 7. Yorkshire 230 for 2. So they need 98 off 14 with 8 wickets in hand. So that could be an interesting one. At Taunton, Derbyshire 289 for 9, coming towards the end of their innings. It was a late start there. They're in the 49th innings. They've got 8 balls to go. 289 for 9. Nothing doing down at Hove today. Sussex Durham abandoned without a ball bowled as Lucas Carey doesn't come back into the attack. Starting a fresh over, bowls wide outside the off stump to Tom Taylor, who looks at James Middlebrook as he did a swing and a miss and looks at James Middlebrook thinking, surely that was close to a wide. Well, it may have been close to one, but it wasn't one, according to umpire Middlebrook, who is engaged in conversation with Graham White at the moment. The other match is being played today at Edgbaston. Nottinghamshire 323 all out, Warwickshire 195 for 4. Here's Carey in again, bowls to Taylor, who drives nicely up to long on, where it's fielded by Nick Selman. And they come through for a single, one more to Taylor, 27 to him, 176 for 7. Yes, Nottinghamshire 323, Warwickshire 196 for 4 in the 38th. They need 128 off 12 and a bit with 6 overs to spare at the moment. And Worcestershire chasing 323 to beat Kent at New Road. Worcester 218 for 6, so it looks a bit of a tall order there. 105 they need off 13 overs with 4 wickets in hand. So some good games boiling up elsewhere around the country. Here's Carey in, bowls to Graham White, who plays that down to backward point, and there's no run. Here, I have to say, I think the beginning to think the result is now not really in doubt. I think barring something pretty exceptional, Glamorgan are going to close this game out. Unless, as I say, Graham White and Tom Taylor can come up with something. They need a couple of big overs. They need a couple of sort of 20 pluses just to give themselves. Yeah,
they need a couple of big overs and a lot of luck.
And a lot of luck, yeah. Great deal of luck. Here's Lucas Carey running away from us. Bowls to Graham White on his hip. He just plays that behind square on the onside. They've come through for 2. And in fact, it was one of those that 3 fielders all running for it. And in the end, the lack of pace on the stroke meant that they were able to come through for 2. If you'd hit that cleanly, it would have been 1 down to long leg. As it was, they were able to come through for 2. 178 for 7. White up to 15.
Yeah, there's been lots of 2s run today. In fact, actually lots of good running. Although I have to say both teams have fielded very well. I think the way that the batsmen are running, they're always looking for 2s these days. That's the modern cricketer.
Here's Graham White facing this ball from Lucas Carey, and he's hit that, tickled it away fine. I think he's got some bat on it. It's running down towards fine leg. In fact, I don't think he has. I think it's just flicked off the pad. It's going to be signalled as leg byes and is by umpire James Middlebrook. So 2 more onto the total, 180 for 7. I think Graham White, it was one of those because long leg is very square and it was just a question of getting something on it.
Yeah, you always feel a little bit frustrated there, isn't
Yes.
it? You feel like you've missed out when you don't get anything on it at all.
Just got a little bat on it, would have run away for 4, I think, as it was. 2 leg buys, 180 for 7. Is Carrion again, bowls to White, who's having to play that watchfully and carefully, defensively out on the offside. Fielded at extra cover by Callum Taylor, who takes off his cap and is going to bowl the next over from the Lynn Wilson indoor centre end. 37 gone, 180 for 7, 116 more runs needed off 78 balls. So Northamptonshire needing to score at very nearly 9 and over, which with only 3 wickets in hand is not easy.
No, the only positive I can say is I have seen teams and Northamptonshire, when you get into this position, almost just throw it away, just try and hit a few boundaries, chip a few up in the air. But it looks like they are determined. They're still trying to bat properly. Obviously, that run rate's going up, and it's going to be harder and harder. But at least they're putting themselves into a position where they can then have a go and have a launch. And it wouldn't surprise me if that happens in the next couple of overs.
He's not giving a lot to hit, Callum Taylor. He looks like he's got good control of line and length. He fires it in or holds it back appropriately. This first ball is regulation. It's round the wicket. Tom Taylor tried to hit it into the leg side. Misses it, hits him on the pad leg by. Score goes on to 181 for 7.
Bit out of breath there.
Yes.
That was a quick march up the steps.
It was, wasn't it? Tried to get back on parade and I was struggling. This next one is very full. Graham White plays a big, expansive drive, gets a thick outside edge. It loops up to backward point, where it's caught by, I think, Nick Selman, who takes the catch. That's the end of Graham White for 15, and probably, absolutely, if it were in any doubt, Graham White's departure sees the end of the Northants having any chance of winning this game. That's 181 now for 8. And again, good cricket by Glamorgan. Callum Taylor came round the wicket, recognised these two guys trying to make room to hit him over mid-off. So came round the wicket, cramped. Graham White went further away, got away from the ball, was out of control really of the shot, reaching for it to try and get it up and over extra cover, got a thick outside edge and caught by Nick Salmon.
Yep, another sort of, another soft dismissal, you could say, but you can't blame Graham there. He's got to get on with it. He's done well to actually get the ball there, I think.
Yeah.
He's come right across it, an off-spinner bowling round the wicket. You don't expect really to be caught at point, but a very easy catch. And no, you can't put any fault on Graham there. He had to get on with it, and unfortunately, it's a lot of people leaving now, and people starting to start the engines.
Yeah, well, halfway through, I thought that Glamorgan were over par. I thought 20 over par, and I think that was an underestimate in terms of how far over par that score was, because Northants still need over 100, 115 to win, which looks very unlikely now with Ben Sanderson walking out to join Tom Taylor.
Well, how many? I'm trying to look. My thing's not loading. But how many partnerships have Northamptonshire managed to put together? It's not many. You look at the Glamorgan innings, and they were prepared to soak up lots of pressure, put partnerships together. Even though we did manage to keep taking wickets, they had such a good early start that they could catch up later on.
Yeah, they rebuilt well, didn't they, after most of their wickets. So Ben Sanderson's first ball goes across him from around the wicket. He tries to sort of chop it into the offside, nearly nicks it, misses it. There's no run. The crucial partnership for Northants, I think, was Curran and Zabe, and they both got out softly, didn't they?
Yeah, they got. Carry on in a second.
Coming back over the wicket now, Callum Taylor bowls a very straight delivery. Ben Sanderson pushing up to mid-on, but the fielder comes across from short mid-wicket to field, and there's no run. Callum Taylor very quick between balls. This next ball sort of just back of a length really. Ben Sanderson, that's his wagon wheel right there. Square of the wicket on the offside.
That's Ben Sanderson. The shuffle. It's a good shuffle, and I've got to say that, because otherwise he'll be cross at me.
Yeah, he plays that shot very well.
But you're sorry, as what you were saying there, that the Curran and Zabe partnership was the crucial partnership once the wickets had already fallen. They got themselves into a nice position. Unfortunately, both of them gave it away, which was probably where the game turned there.
And Callum Taylor back around the wicket to Tom Taylor, who sweeps this ball, sweeps it very well, but it's straight out to the fielder on the deep square leg boundary, who is Stephen Reingold, who throws it back in. So it's 1 added to Tom Taylor to take him to 28, takes Northants to 183 for 8, and the crowd is thinning out by the second.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of man of the match performances, you can't. I mean, I personally can't look further than Joe Cook. I mean, what a game for him, really. He came in and changed the game with the bat. He's been bowled brilliantly, lots of mix-ups, lots of changes, fantastic catch, and he's also been brilliant in the field. And sometimes in white ball cricket, one man can make the difference.
Here's Lucas Carey running in to start the 38th over. I think the scoreboard is frozen a bit, but we'll catch up eventually. It's clubbed away to long on by Tom Taylor, and they're able to come through for a single. 183 for 8. Taylor up to 28. And I don't know, what do you do in these circumstances where Tom Taylor is, because the game is gone. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all. Glamorgan are going to win this match, and deservedly so. I don't know. Do you just sort of try and have a bit of a hack, or just try and get as many runs as possible and almost make it look a bit more respectable? Single there to Ben Sanderson. He paddles that round the corner for a single. 2 to Sanderson, 184 for 8.
I think you try and do the latter.
Yeah.
But the way he probably does that is to play positively.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of catch-22 situation. I think he's got to look for the boundary options, because that's what he does very well. You've just got to, maybe it's not slogging. It's just trying to play as calculated as he can.
Is Casey back at the end of his mark? He's just changing the field. Long off's Billy Root's been pushed back at mid-off, and he's doing the hokey-cokey at the moment. He's in, out, and then he's eventually dropping back now to long off. And here's Carey in again. Bowls and stands up tall. Tom Taylor plays it away past backward point. They come through for 1. They come back for a second. So 2 more to Taylor. The scoreboard's now going backwards. So Northamptonshire have actually managed to lose 4 runs this over so far. So that takes a bit of doing.
Are there some rules we don't know about here?
Well, who knows? Well, these days, who knows? But no, I think it's probably just a bit of a computer glitch on the scoreboard. A little catch up. Is Carey in again. Bowls to Taylor, who looks to swing that away on the onside. I think it's just come off the pad as it goes down behind square on the onside. It is indeed a leg by, signalled by umpire James Middlebrook, which I think is now 186 for 8.
I just saw one of the scorers in the commentary box, so that does worry me a little bit. Is anyone in charge?
By the way, does anybody know how to fly this plane? Yes, it's a little bit like that, isn't it? I think they've...
we like to share roles here in Northamptonshire.
Yes.
Everyone gets a chance.
We've got a wee bit behind. Here's Carey in again. Bowls to Sanderson, who pulls, swats that away for 4. Well, there you go. Ben Sanderson saying...
Best pull shot of the game.
Absolutely, saying I should have been batting higher. Pulls that away just behind square on the onside for 4. Nothing wrong with that at all. Well, Ben Sanderson will tell you, if you ask him, of course, about his boundary and that breathless championship finish up at Headingley earlier in the season, when he hit the ball away through the covers for 4, which looked as though it probably settled the match in Northamptonshire's favour. Unfortunately for Northamptonshire, it hadn't. Here's Carey, and again bowls outside the off stump. This time Sanderson tries to play the extra cover drive, misses, goes past the outside edge into the gloves of Tom Cullen. The scoreboard's caught up, I'm pleased to say, and at the end of 39 overs, Northamptonshire 192 for 8, 31 to Taylor, 6 to Sanderson. The nominal requirement is 104 off 11 overs, but just 2 wickets in hand. And the good thing, I think, apart from anything else, and Glamorgan will be hugely satisfied with this result, is the fact that it's actually stayed fine, which I must admit once or twice during the day I thought we might get some rain, but we haven't, which is good.
Yeah, it's defied the odds, hasn't it, the weather, which has been good for those Northamptonshire diehards who are still on the ground. So Callum Taylor can continue from the far end. Again, Tom Taylor runs at him to try and get under the ball, and again Callum Taylor is good enough just to get it into an area where he can't do so, but he hits it hard up to long on for another single, which brings Ben Sanderson on to strike. He's gone back over the wicket to Ben Sanderson, which is disappointing for me, because I think a slog sweep would be a nice shot from Ben Sanderson, less likely from over the wicket. In it comes now, and Ben Sanderson does a lovely little chassis. I've not seen him do that too many times.
I don't think I've ever seen him leave the crease.
No, stay at home, I think, Ben. Based on that, pushes it back down the wicket, and there's no run. He has another try this ball. in it comes, and it's just sliding down the leg side, and Ben Sanderson thinks, oh, I can tickle that past fine leg, short fine leg, Lucas Carey, but he doesn't. He gets just too much bat on it, and Lucas Carey manages to throw that one back in, and there's no run. But Ben Sanderson looking to use his feet. He does so again and hacks it really into the leg side between deep mid wicket and long on. Right in the middle of the gap, they get 2, but again, a nice bit of bowling. Ben Sanderson trying to get down, hit him straight down the ground, and just held that ball back, so Ben Sanderson can only drag it. And it's very good, skillful one-day bowling.
Very intelligent.
Yeah, he's bowled very well. Callum Taylor, that is I'm talking about. Callum Taylor's bowled very, very well here today. The stumping looks favourite, actually, if Ben Sanderson continues to get down the pitch. He stays at home that time, pushes it, that's a Ben Sanderson shot, pushes it square of the wicket into the offside. They pick up a single as it goes to Billy Root's right at backward point.
I think only Ben could get that ball there.
That was good, wasn't it?
And he actually did it really well.
That was fantastic.
Very effectively.
Most people would have been knocking that into the leg side, I think. Sando with the open face gets it away. He's on 9. Tom Taylor's on 32. 196 for 8. Attempted sweep again from Tom Taylor. He sits him on the pad, runs out into the leg side for a leg by. So yet another very tidy over from Callum Taylor. Have you got his figures there, Radders?
I have, yes. I can, they are 6 overs, 1 for 24.
Yeah, just at 4 and over with a wicket as well. He's bowled very, very well, as have the majority of the Glamorgan bowlers. They've been well supported by the fielders, who have been brilliant. The captains moved the field around perfectly in response to what he's seen him fold in front of his. Managed his bowlers very, very well. And so far, a thoroughly one-sided performance, really, from Glamorgan.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And Carey as well. Obviously, Carey had a tough start, a few boundaries early on. He's pulled it back well as well. I think Northamptonshire have been thoroughly outplayed, really. I don't think anyone can really argue with that. I've been very impressed with Glamorgan all the way through. But it's evident as well up here, the amount of noise they're making in the field. Real presence.
Is Carey in again, bowling to Tom Taylor, who's gone aerial. Has he got enough on it? Yes, he has. It just clears the man at deep mid-wicket, Hamish Rutherford, who leaps up as though he was in a rugby line-out for the All Blacks. Trying to palm that one down as it is. He just cleared him and went for 6. So 200 up for Northamptonshire. Tom Taylor up to 38, 203 for 8. There are still 10 overs to go. And, well, in schools cricket and whatnot, you'd be berating the team for not batting their overs if Northamptonshire get out in the next 10, which I'm pretty sure they probably will. But Taylor's got more runs here as he just whips that away down behind square on the onside, half stopped.
Great fielding again.
It was a very good bit of fielding by Steve Reingold, I think, down there. And it was a very good stop. It was saved. Well, it saved 3 runs because they only came through for a single. It would have been 4 if it had gone past him. So 1 more to Taylor, who's up to 39, 204 for 8, 7 off the first 2 balls of the over.
And those are the sort of half stops that when you're on top, they go your way. When you're not, they trickle off for 4.
Sanderson on 9, facing this ball from Carey. He's gone aerial, he's driven up, and he's caught, very well caught indeed, at mid-on by Nick Selman. Another terrific catch. Glamorgan really have been razor sharp in the field today. It's a 3rd catch of the innings for Selman, 4th catch of the innings for Selman. Sanderson goes for 9, and Northamptonshire 204 for 9. Brilliant diving catch at mid-on, and it gives Lucas Carey a 2nd wicket.
Yeah, you can't really put any blame on Ben Sanderson there, can you? He was doing his bit for the team. He's not paid his money to score runs for us at the tail, and the damage was done at the top. Again, I've not really got too much to add to this performance. We said Glamorgan have been very, very, very good. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this for Northampton for their the success going forward in the 50-over competition, and they've got to learn pretty quickly.
I think Ben Sanderson needs a little bit of work on the Victor Trumper impersonation. They're dancing down the pitch to try and hit over the top. He's
more like Donald Trumper, wasn't it? Really, to be honest.
Well, Freddie Heldrick has walked out to the middle at number 11 for Northamptonshire with one of the most confident walkouts I think I've ever seen. He's gone out with a real bustle. He means business. He means to knock off these runs. Only 92 needed off 57 balls, nearly 10 and over with the last pair in, but He's looking busy and purposeful, and that's good to see, but Glamorgan on the brink here of a fairly emphatic victory, one feels. And yeah, 4 catches, outfield catches now for Nick Selman, so we should be having to do a bit of delving through the record books. Still time for a 5th, of course.
One of the disappointing things from a Northants perspective will be that Glamorgan demonstrated exactly how to play 50-over cricket in terms of the way they compiled their innings. And Northants were in not dissimilar positions and took different options at the wrong time.
That has equalled a Glamorgan record. Carey in bowls short, and Taylor's pulled that away for 4. 43 to Tom Taylor, 208 for 9. There have been 3 instances of 4 outfield catches in an innings for Glamorgan in this day cricket. Hugh Morris took 4 against Scotland in 1988, and again against Kent at St Helens, Swansea in 1990, and in that same 1990 season, Sir Vivian Richards also held 4 against Leicestershire at Sophia Gardens. Here's Carey in, bowls to Taylor, who drives nicely down the ground. He's going to pick up a single. 1 more to Taylor, 44 to him, 209 for 9, Northamptonshire.
Batted very well here, Tom Taylor.
Yeah.
Very responsibly, if that can be said in this position. It may, well, it will be in a losing cause, but it would have been easy just to try and hit every ball for 6, lose a few wickets early. But he's actually batted really nice, and he's shown that it can happen. You just need to spend time with the wicket.
And I must thank Dr. Andrew Hignell, the Glamorgan scorer, who was right on the money as ever, sending that information through to us. Not on the ground today, but thanks very much indeed for that, Higgers. Here's Carey bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Heldrick, hits him on the pad. Appeal for LBW, not out, says umpire Middlebrook, end of the over. 209 for 9, Northamptonshire, 41 overs gone, so 87 needed rather, off 9 overs, so very nearly 10 and over. And I think Tom Taylor's going to have to score most, if not all of them, 44 to him. I haven't seen a lot of Freddie Heldrick batting, Phil. You've probably seen more of him than I have.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces, mostly in winters when he's come down from Suffolk. Tends to stay a little bit leg side of the ball, likes to score through the offside. He can play some attractive shots. This will be beyond him, and that's no disrespect to him, beyond most people to get us over the line from here. But yeah, he's certainly not an absolute walking wicket by any means. He can hold a bat. So Callum Taylor to continue. First ball into Tom Taylor, who's worked into the leg side, times it really well, maybe even too well. Can only pick up the single as the fielder Gorvin hammers in off the boundary. You'd think it was a nail-biting finish, and that's credit to him. It's not going to be on his watch that Taylor gets back for 2, so he keeps it to 1, which brings Heldrick on strike. So Heldrick survived his first ball. It was a loud appeal for LBW, which was going down the leg side. So that'll be his first job, is make sure I don't get a golden duck, and the next job will be make sure I don't get a duck. So hopefully he can get one somewhere, maybe into square leg is his chance to get off strike. He'll want to get a run against his name in this format. Obviously he's on debut today, bowled very well. As he faces Callum Taylor, this is pitched up. Oh, not without a bit of style there. Defends it into the leg side. Very nice.
I like that. Confidence.
Yeah, style points, definitely. Yeah, he can hold about. Most of the young guys coming through can bat a little bit now, at least. Goes forward to the next ball and blocks it as well as anyone.
Yeah, going back to your point of the way that Glamorgan have been exceptional with their standards all the way through, and the youngsters that we didn't know too much about, they've got a lot of talent.
Yeah, they've slotted in well. And that's a nice shot. So Freddie Heldrick is off the mark. He might even get a 4 as he gets a little bit of width on offer from Callum Taylor and cuts the ball back behind, backward point. He will get 3. It's really well fielded on the boundary again by Stephen Reingold. He wasn't going to let 4 go through there. So he prevents the boundary, but Freddie Heldrick makes his first 3 runs of his career in List A cricket.
I don't think Lucas Carey is too happy with that one, because he had to go dive, miss the ball, then he had to chase all the way back to the boundary to pick up the ball that the fielder had thrown. So he's a bit out of breath and walking back very sheepishly into the circle.
Something's going to happen. I think Tom Taylor's probably had enough now. Wants to clear the ropes a few times. He plays a lovely little ramp shot, ramp sweep over his own shoulder, and nearly hit himself in the head with that one. It was a full toss, just laid the bat on it, opened the face, got it over his shoulder for 4. What a fine shot that was, takes him up to 49. So on the brink of what would be a well-deserved 50, albeit in a bit of a hopeless cause, but
Yeah.
he's done his job very well.
Yeah, he's taken the right options. He's been very smart with the options that he's taken. He hasn't just tried to clear the big ropes or play the shots that we've seen him do before. He's been pretty smart with the options that he's taken.
So the final ball of the 42nd over, Taylor on strike again. He will get 50 as he knocks that one into the leg side. One will be fine. Freddie Heldrick sauntering through. He doesn't want to come back, and he's quite right not to. That's 50 for Tom Taylor. That was a 51 ball, so he's got them virtually a runner ball. 4 fours and a 6.
Yeah, played very nicely. Ben Curran, Anton Taylor have both played nicely. Unfortunately, we just didn't get Northamptonshire didn't get a lot of support elsewhere. And like we were saying earlier, they just lacked in partnerships. 50 over cricket, whether you're setting or chasing, it's all about partnerships. And we haven't done enough of that today.
On my school report, so the teacher told me at school that Western Favour, they could have had a rubber stamp that said lazy.
Must try harder.
A stamp, yeah, must turn up, actually, would have been a better thing. But I think a stamp over Northampton one-day performances, white ball performances, could say too many soft wickets. And it's easy from up here, I know, but I think that is a recurring theme.
Oh, I can tell you when we were playing, we knew it. It's one of those things. It's not the easiest to change, though.
Here's Carey starting another over bowl to Tom Taylor, who's hit that a long, long way. That's gone over the main scoreboard into the gardens at Wantage Road. The few telltale leaves fluttering down from the trees just outside the boundary that tell you that the ball actually passed through the trees. A bit like a cartoon when you see sort of something whizzing through the trees and a few leaves come down. 6 to Taylor, 56 to him, 224 for 9.
Yeah, that's 6 on any ground, isn't it?
That was a
very
big
good strike. And what was impressive there is he kept his head down and stayed very still. If anyone can see that on the replay, that is the key to hitting. So often when you try and hit the ball, your head's all over the place, you're looking up in the air and your body's moving all over the place. But he stayed perfectly still there, and he had perfect connection with the cricket ball, and he sent it miles.
56 to Taylor, 224 for 9, 72 needed off 47 balls. Here's Carey in, bowls to Taylor, who drives that beautifully away through extra cover. Oh, what a terrific diving stop out there by Stephen Reingold. What a great bit of fielding that was.
That's special.
That saved a couple of runs.
That's a young man fielding, that's for sure.
That was just terrific.
Yeah, that's international level fielding, isn't it?
226 for 9, it's, 58 to Taylor. And he's just wringing his hand and his wrist. I think he just caught it as he just jarred it as he landed. But that's a terrific bit of fielding. Here's Carey in again. Bowls to Taylor, who swung that away down towards the boundary. He just clothed it a bit, didn't he? He didn't really get hold of it completely. Just goes down behind square for a single. One more onto the total. 227 for 9. Taylor to 59. And now the languid batting talents of Freddie Heldrick.
I want him to try and block this, or at least deflect it. I don't want him to play a big shot and get out here, because that would dent his confidence. It would dent the coach's confidence in him as well. So just keep your end up and let Tom Taylor do the work.
Well, this is the first time he's batted for Northamptonshire first team, because he didn't bat in any of his T20 appearances. So here's Carey round the wicket, bowls very full, and Heldrick just plays that nicely away through mid-wicket. Gets a round of applause from the spectators who are still in the ground. And Heldrick up to 5.
That was a healthy ripple, wasn't it?
It was a healthy ripple, yeah. 229 for 9 Northamptonshire. To be fair, there's still quite a few still in the ground. Just a few have drifted out, but quite a healthy number at the far end of the ground at the Lynn Wilson Indoor Centre. You're out of the breeze there, which is always quite a nice place to sit. If there is any sun, it's the sun trap, but then we haven't really seen very much by way of sunshine today. But it's been a respectably sized crowd. I was looking at one or two of the other. I see they've got over 3,000 in at the start at Taunton for the late start there.
I think given the forecast, we've done well to get as many in as we have. It
Well,
didn't look great this morning.
The
did
whole
it?
weekend, to be honest. I mean, I was watching my son play yesterday at right up in the north of the county, and it was a beautiful afternoon. But to say the forecast, you'd almost written this weekend off, Saturday and Sunday. Sort of at Thursday, it was pretty much a write-off. But so yeah, we've done really well to get as much cricket as we have. Tom Taylor back on strike, already coming across his stumps, and Carey trying to compensate by throwing that one wide of off stump, but he overdoes it, and it's too wide according to umpire James Middlebrook, who signals wide. And it's fair to say Lucas Carey looks a little hard done by. as he walked past the umpire. Dad will get much change out of James Middlebrook, knowing him as we do.
None.
No, he doesn't bring his wallet with him anyway anymore.
Bowled it again. 229 for 9. 67 needed. Here's Taylor facing this ball from Carey. Again coming across his stumps. He squeezed that away on the bounce down to backward point. They're going to come back for 2. He's going to have to hurry, but he does. And he gets there. And 2 more runs to Tom Taylor. Michael Hogan there coming in off the boundary at third man. Sent in a good return, but the batsman had stepped on the gas, as you can see by how far Tom Taylor overran the crease. It's a good job it wasn't an overthrow, because he would never have been able to come back. 61 to Taylor, 231 for 9. 65 needed. Here's Carey in again. Bowls to Taylor, and that's, well, it's missed outside the off stump as Taylor was trying to get something on it, presumably to keep the bowling. He doesn't. It's well bowled from Lucas Carey to finish the over. End of it. 43 overs gone, 231 for 9. Northamptonshire still needing 65 to win off 42 balls. The last pair in. Taylor's made 61, done a really good job. 61 off 56 balls. And Freddie Heldrick, I'm sure, must have... yes, it is 4, that's right. 4 to him.
I think there's going to be a change at the far end. It looks like Andrew Gorvin is going to come on. Bowled very well from the pavilion end earlier on. I think I'm right in my identification.
Yeah, I think you are. I think on a positive from Northamptonshire to try to, I think Tom Taylor is developing into a very, very fine all-round cricketer.
Yeah,
he was identified, which is the reason he came to Northampton in the first place, as a future prospect, and he's really impressed me. That the limited time I spent with him in training, he trains very well. He's very quiet, keeps himself to himself, but as a cricketer, he's just getting better and better, and he can hold his head up high in this game today.
So Andrew Gorvin, who bowled very well from the pavilion end, starts as he did finish with a line and length ball, perfect line, perfect length, right at the top of off stump and well defended. Again, with some style by Freddie Heldrick, who's wielded the bat very nicely so far. And Tom Taylor will be thinking, there'll be 1% of Tom Taylor thinking, it's only 65 if he stays with me. In comes Gorvin again, bowls a bit of a change up.
Just imagine if he had the next over, for instance, just that one magical over that Radders was talking about, and suddenly it was 25, 30 off the over.
And then people get a bit jittery, don't they?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. It's a long way off, and Glamorgan are still well on top and favourites to win this game.
Yeah, it's a 1%er, isn't it? That does happen now and again. Gorvin in again, past umpire Kettleborough. Bowls a very straight delivery, a little bit over length, and Freddie Heldrick hits it nicely and firmly. He thinks he deserves a run, and it's unfortunately gone straight to Kieran Carlson, who is not everywhere as he appears to be. He's only at mid-wicket, but he does enough there to prevent a run. So 3 dots. He must try and get off strike if he can. Well, can he get off strike on the 4th ball? Yes, he can. He kind of jabs it into his pad. It runs out onto the leg side square of the wicket, so he does get off strike, bringing Tom Taylor onto strike. Northampton can make a big dent, can still make a dent in this, but we're going to have to. I think Northampton are going to have to almost hit Gorvin off his line and length, because he's not going to give anything up. I don't think he bowls many bad deliveries at all.
No, I agree.
He bowls very skillfully. He's brought fine leg up into the ring. He's got deep square, deep mid wicket, long on, long off, and deep cover, which sort of befits his medium pace. 2 balls of this over remaining. The 5th ball is a back of the handball. It's chipped down the ground. It's not going to reach long on. It's a couple of bounces. So he's hit it, without any great criticism. He's hit it badly enough that it didn't cause him any danger, but it was well bowled again. Did him a bit with the change of pace. Another single to Tom Taylor takes him to 62.
He's been very impressive, hasn't he?
He has.
Subtle variations.
Ravi Bopara like Andrew Gorvin. Mulaney's another one, yes. So Andrew Gorvin to finish this over, bowls straight on middle stump, right at the top of middle stump, well defended by Freddie Heldrick. He's done his job well there. He knows what his job is, which is to give the bowling to Tom Taylor and not get out, so Tom Taylor can have some fun and try and get closer to this number, and then who knows. But it's now over 10 and over required from the remaining 6 over, 233 for 9.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about Mulaney and Paras and bowlers like that. something that we spoke about it when I was here at Northamptonshire, about lacking that somebody that can come on and just bowl you medium pace in all formats of cricket. And I actually think they're like gold dust on the county circuit, especially some of the wickets that we play on when you're playing on sort of white ball cricket or used wickets.
Particularly this time of year,
yeah, definitely. And he looks like a really, really good find for Glamorgan.
I thought Kyle Kurtzen might be the one for us. I know you threw the ball to him, I think, in one of the final. It was 13, and he picked up a wicket. Good catch by. On
the ropes.
On the ropes.
Right on the boundary.
On the ropes, yeah. It'll come to me. But he didn't quite train on with his bowling.
Here's Lucas Carey starting a fresh over, driven away through extra cover by Taylor. Has this got enough to go to the boundary? No, it hasn't. Again, an excellent bit of fielding out there by Steve Reingold. Keeps it to 2.
Matthew Spreagle was the catcher.
Matthew Spreagle.
Yeah, I think if you look around, the successful teams have got options like that, haven't they?
Yeah, but as you say, particularly in white ball cricket, on older pitches, used pitches, and Kyle was not without ability.
235 for 9. Taylor 64. Here's Carey in again. Bowls to Taylor. Drives that up towards long off. I think they're only going to be 1. Billy Taylor's quickly to the ball. They're going to come back for 2. And he could be struggling. And he's a big appeal for a run out. And he's given out. And Freddie Heldrick is run out attempting the second. And Glamorgan have won this match by 59 runs. Northamptonshire all out for 236. 1 run to count. So Tom Taylor is left 65 not out. Freddie Heldrick run out for 5 and 236 all out. And congratulations to Glamorgan. They've been the better side over the course of the day. And they've won this match here by 59 runs.
Yeah, in some ways that last dismissal sums up in microcosm Glamorgan's performance, in that it was well bowled, it was hit to the right side of the ground where he wanted to be hit. Billy Root set off in hot pursuit of it. You're not getting 2 to me. He said, picked it up, a great throw. Lucas Carey got back to the stumps, a very professional bit of cricket, and that really sums up Glamorgan's performance all day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more there. I think Glamorgan have been fantastic from ball 1 here. Hamish Rutherford's innings at the top of the innings was an international quality innings. Northamptonshire bowled very well in him. He just soaked it up. He made the right decisions at the right time. And then that partnership later on between Cook and Cullen, for me, that was the turning point in the game. That they took the game away from Northampton. Northants had control, and suddenly the game changed within a matter of overs, and that's what happens in white ball cricket. And then when it came to Northamptonshire's turn to bat, just never managed to put a partnership together. Ben Curran played very nicely for his 50, but unfortunately there were too many soft dismissals, and that's been a bit of a theme of Northamptonshire's white ball batting for a number of years now.
Tom Taylor, 65 not out off 59 balls with 2 6s and 4 4s. And to add to his couple of wickets earlier on in the day, dismissals of Callum Taylor and Billy Root. He's had a pretty good day, a match that he'll look back on with a certain amount of personal satisfaction, obviously, if not as far as the team are concerned. Just run you through the Glamorgan bowling figures. You can hear the applause for the Glamorgan team as they leave the field. Michael Hogan, outstanding, 8 overs, no maidens, 3 for 26. Lucas Carey, 9 overs and 2 balls, 1 maiden, 2 for 75. Andrew Gorvin on debut, very satisfactory return from him, 8 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 36. Stephen Reingold in just his second match, 6 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 28. Well, Joe Cook, what a day he's had. 6 overs, no maidens, 3 for 32. And Callum Taylor, who's the 6th bowler used by Kieran Carlson, 7 overs, no maidens, 1 for 34. So Northamptonshire all out for 236 off 44 overs and 2 balls. Both teams play again in this competition on Wednesday with Glamorgan, who've now got, 2 from 2. They go down to play Somerset at Taunton, and Northamptonshire will be looking for a better performance against Yorkshire up at Scarborough. Of course, both those games you'll be able to hear every ball through BBC Sport. But, well, as I say, Glamorgan comfortably really outstanding, I think, right the way through, and particularly Alex Wakely. I think you've got to give them credit for the patience they showed up front when it wasn't easy batting first this morning. And at 57 for no wicket off 15 overs, you look at it and you think, a bit slow, but they finished up getting 290 because they kept wickets in hand.
Yeah, they were they showed a lot of patience, and it does show that 50 over cricket is a long time. There's a long time for the game to naturally unfold in front of you. You don't necessarily need to go and chase it. And that's exactly what Glamorgan did. I think it helped having that international experience. You'll have had someone there that could feed that back to the dressing room. And Hamish Rutherford obviously playing a really good innings there at the top. That held the innings together, and it gave them the platform. And wickets are crucial. Wickets in 50 over cricket. If you've got wickets in hand, you can achieve anything in the last 10 overs. And that's something, again, Northants haven't done for a number of years now. And the best thing about it, though, is that these guys come thick and fast now. There's plenty of chances to turn it around pretty quickly. Although they might not have the practice they want to execute some of those skills in practice, they'll know what they've done wrong. It's pretty clear, and they'll be able to talk about it and move on. And
a question for both of you. I mean, obviously Northamptonshire going into this with a 14-man squad. Pick the 11 today. They've got to go up to Scarborough to play Yorkshire, say, on Wednesday. Would you make changes?
I might do. I'd need to check in on. I think Nathan Buck, who's coming back from a calf injury, is pretty much there, ready to go. So he'll be knocking on the door, looking for a spot. I'm not someone who likes to knee-jerk after one game. If it was your best team for this game, all other things being equal, then it's your best team for the next game. But I know we did play the extra batter today, and it didn't really work out for us. So there's a bit of thinking to be done there. It's more the manner, really, of the dismissals rather than the makeup of the team. I thought we did pretty well for large parts of the front end of that game, the first half of that game. We lost our way a little bit towards the back end, but there are some positives. Freddie Heldrick on debut was a positive. Tom Taylor, again, as Alex mentioned, showing that he is a genuine all round. So a couple of positives there, but we need to learn our lessons quickly. Having said that, it is an old lesson. It's an existing lesson. So I'm not sure I'd jump into making changes. They might want to freshen it up a little bit. It's more about people doing their job just to a higher level, I think.
You agree with that, Wakers?
Totally. You've got to assess the conditions, and they might want to sneak another seamer in there. But obviously, the makeup of the squad will be dictated by who's fit and the personnel available to them.
Well, as I say, thank you very much indeed to Phil Rowe and to Alex Wakely for keeping me company in the commentary box today. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. I think Nick Webb and Eddie Bevan will be back with you very shortly, of course, if you're listening there in Wales and wanting to hear the authentic voices of Glamorgan cricket. Nick and Eddie, the terrible twins, they will be back on duty very soon. But for now, from me, Andrew Rad, from Phil Rowe, from Alex Wakely, I say, I hope you've enjoyed the coverage today. Glamorgan victorious here by 59 runs. They've played to 1-2 in the Royal London Cup. For now, from all of us here at Wantage Road, a very good evening to you.